for the New Zealand accent.
This is good for us. We don't know each other well enough to do this, and that's why it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Hi, I'm Richard Kind, and you're listening to the CVH podcast. We're certainly not going to spank them.
You said you listen. You must know that.
It's way more impressive than I
Ladies
thought,
and gentlemen,
yeah.
I'm sitting here with the great Simon O'Neill. He's come to join me on the podcast. We met yesterday.
We met yesterday. Yep.
But I've known you for 10 years more. I've known you my entire career. I've known your name.
Me too. I mean,
But that's kind of how this goes, right? You have like I'm just starting by the way. There's no
that's good.
There's no point in belaboring this. There's like general professional respect among singers that you have heard of forever but have never come across. You know, we haven't done anything before. So just the sight of you, I said, "Oh, that's Simon O'Neill."
Well, we did meet at a German beer garden, which was fortunate. I usually spend some days I'm not there. No,
Yeah.
It's the only second time I've been there in 2 months being
Is that
here
right?
in San Francisco. No, I agree. You know, I've followed your career, and it's similar. You know, we're both in that Met Young Artists. The Met competition back.
What I have learned
20
about you
years ago
in the last 24 hours, and I love this because I think any great singer, any singer who's achieved any kind of level of success has earned it. And if I look at your CV, you earned it.
Oh man, thanks.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
Do you feel like that?
yeah.
You weren't anointed.
No,
You had moments of anointing, but you had to be ready to receive it. That wasn't just given to somebody who didn't deserve it. But if I look at your path, I go, this man earned it.
Well, thanks. I mean, starting singing in New Zealand and that sort of stuff, I guess I had potential along with a lot of colleagues and stuff, but I was very, very seldomly first place in a competition.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'd often make the final or something like that. At least had
But
potential.
you get their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with.
Then the soprano comes and takes all the money.
Oh yeah. And I remember when I was in the Met competition, we had the other two tenors both won, James and Philippe, and then soprano Twyla won.
Wait, James Valenti?
Yeah, James Valenti,
And
Philippe
Castagnier,
Castagnier, and the lovely Twyla Robinson. That was
just a couple years before.
That was 2 years, so that was 2001 or 2. Or
Oh, okay. I was 2003.
Yeah. So it was 1 year earlier. We're in the so.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't face that group.
I'm glad I'm just got my name in the hat, brother.
Yeah?
You know, and to have our
Yeah, but at
names-
this point, it's a lot more than just name in the hat.
Yeah, well, you want to keep your name in the hat.
That's it.
Yeah,
Staying
and
in
that's
the game.
the game. Now it's the game with playing on the Masters tennis circuit,
right.
all this sort of carry on. You see those dudes who have had a huge career as professional tennis players or professional golfers. I mean, opera singing. I find it's very similar in life to that, where you go around and you essentially meet up with your colleagues at the tournament, which is the opera, and particularly in my stuff that I do, which is more the German repertoire. It's the field is even more smaller.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
You guys are a real family. I mean, you see the same characters everywhere you go. You sort of have to in a way, right?
Yeah. So that's. I mean, we have had similar. Yeah, we've earned this. It's good. I mean, I'm very proud of that.
Oh, I'm very proud of that because I feel like the foundation is solid. And when suddenly, because it does happen where somebody just lands in the middle of us, and we've never heard of them before, and you go, oh, okay, who's this?
Yeah, look, there are.
I want success for them, but I'm nervous.
Yeah, I see people often in the business, and I have huge. I'm proud of them, but there's also there's a slight bit of worry that if they, say for tenors, for example, the instrument doesn't really stop growing until your late 20s anyway.
Yeah.
The whole area of being so when you're a 22-year-old tenor with all the facility of high notes and by 27, 28, sometimes that instrument has changed.
There's a shift for sure.
And if that person, that young tenor, has not dealt with that and organised a proper technique on how to deal, it doesn't matter what repertoire you're doing, that worries me.
Yeah.
It worries me greatly.
Oh, yeah. There's another shift again that I noticed. I noticed a shift in my late 30s, early 40s, where I thought the machine doesn't work the way it used to. And that's not to say it doesn't work, but I have to think about it different. Where normally I might just be able to put it into fourth gear and push to survive the night. That's not the way anymore.
It's not the way. And now, I'm 52 now, so it definitely since my sort of later 40s, I like to try and cruise on my instrument more than... I love being passionate and all that sort of carry on with the text and with the musical line. But now, particularly in the big roles of, say, Tristan, that sort of carry on, to have the opportunities to just be in cruise mode and still be able to deliver the role
without costing too much too soon. You got a long way to go.
And
you're dealing in shows that I don't. I mean,
well, you and I disagree on that. I think you'd be fantastic in all my repertoire. But anyway, we'll fight about that.
But I mean, well, it's an interesting topic, and it's not one that I haven't given a lot of thought to. And I come from German singers, and my teacher was a Wotan, and so it's not this stuff is. I feel like it's there if I want to head in that direction. It's certainly there an option.
Yeah, I mean,
but you said something interesting last night that I remember, and you said to do Wagner well, you have to love 5 things. And right now, I only love one thing. I love the music.
Yeah.
The text hasn't grabbed me. The stories have definitely not grabbed me. The 5-hour passion play has not grabbed me.
You need to watch the extended edition of Lord of the Rings again. It's all shot in New Zealand, where I'm from. Then okay, that's cool. But
I think when I get 3 out of those 5, I think I'll do it. But right now, I love the music. And that's full stop.
I'm cool with that.
Which is a great place to begin. I sang Donner.
Yeah, love you, the Donner and Fro. Golly, what a couple of useless dudes. God.
That had a good line.
Jeez, useless.
Hey da, hey do. It was fun. It was fun.
No, for me, the music is the most important out of everything.
Of course.
Out of everything, of the whole Wagner.
Which makes me think someday I'll get there, because that part touches me for sure.
Some gorgeous stuff. I mean, particularly
sometimes I'm going home at 3 hours and I go, oh man, they're just warming up.
That's their first act.
How do you do that when you're on stage staring down 50 minutes of just noise?
You know what? It's a game. It's a journey.
Yeah.
With something like Tristan, I purposely do not warm up or really prepare the third act that day.
Yeah.
Because I like to try to live it.
Okay.
When I get there, I do. And
but it's coming.
Yeah.
But you don't want to experience it beforehand that day. You don't want to look at it or go through it.
No, I don't do that.
You want to live it in the moment.
I live it, and it's always a little bit different on how one is acting it, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I love, and in this production we were doing here in San Francisco, it's been such a joy.
You're enjoying this one?
Yeah, I love it. I've done it 2 times before, and I enjoy this one here very much. So
you're known as a Wagnerian singer. That's your label. If we get labels, that's yours for sure.
We get put in a box, and I don't mind that box. I love the box. This year I've been so lucky, Christian, that I've been able to. I've sung all the Wagner roles, which I'm really proud of.
You've done everything that can be done. You've done.
Yeah, other than
still standing.
Other than a couple of. Die Feen or Liebesverbot.
You sound healthy to me. Do you feel good?
Oh man, thanks. I feel good. I feel really healthy.
Well, this repertoire sung healthy can last a long time.
Well, I love
but
it.
If you're not feeling great, this can be the end.
Well, for me, I listen to Pavarotti sing Donizetti.
Yeah. That's it. That's your inspiration.
That gets me going.
Yeah.
Now, he's not a Wagnerian singer, but that's what I listen to. Yeah. I listen to Fritz Wunderlich singing Die Schöne Müllerin or something like that.
I've heard it countless times. When you sing Wagner, you sing it like bel canto.
Yeah, completely. I mean, Wagner himself loved bel canto. He loved Bellini and all this stuff. And that's sometimes a difficult situation when, especially with young singers, that someone in the a musical director or a coach might say, "Look, I can't hear your words."
Yeah.
And they, it's not about that you have to pressurize the words. You just need to love them more.
Right. Love them more.
Elongate the words more. Wet the words more.
You have to be in love with the process of getting through the consonant to the vowel to the consonant to the vowel. Yeah.
Listen to...
Own it the way you own your vocal line.
Listen to Sinatra.
Yeah.
Listen to how he does it.
Yeah.
When he will sing through consonant clusters.
The phrases are... Oh, yeah.
And I love that. That's the same sort of thing as when I listen to the great Wagnerian singers of the past. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
When I'm out on stage with my colleague, for example, here in San Francisco, the great Wolfgang Koch, who is German baritone of just the highest level. It's such amazing to be on stage with him or Kwang Chul Jung, who sings the part of König Marke. It's a singing lesson to me, and I listen to how they sing the German.
You're a student. You're always listening.
Yeah, constantly. I mean, that's been my career. At the very start, my big break was being Placido's cover as Sigmund.
Well, they made a documentary over it. I remember this. I remember seeing you. They showed your apartment in this documentary. I remember seeing that.
Oh my God, that apartment!
It was it was a closet.
It was a closet. It was a $450 per month sublease, like on 94th Street and Broadway. It was tiny, but it was true. I mean, I look at that documentary, and it's often.
It's great. I mean, it's actually great.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. I don't see me, but I see it. It's a nice story, actually.
Right. And they didn't tell the right story, you think?
No, they did tell the story, exactly what was happening there. But what I see in the documentary is I see a young person who is so excited and knows the privileged situation that he's in, and this lucky situation that he's in.
You do come off grateful, absolutely.
Which is a lot of work that's gone into it. But what I love is you hear Placido Domingo, who he's a mentor to me. When he talks about when he was the understudy, when he was
for Corelli.
Yeah,
that's right. And they'd call him in.
Yeah,
warming up in the car on the way in. Yeah,
and because often in our opera talks, when you're talking to opera singers, you don't often hear about the building blocks of their career. Pavarotti was the cover for Di Stefano.
Yeah.
Kerry was the
cover. I like it. I like
Stratus.
to hear how we earned it.
This is important. I think it's more interesting to the listener to tell the truth, rather than saying, look at these stars.
But also, I think it's encouraging to the young singers that listen to go, look, at some point, Simon O'Neill lived in a closet on 90th and Broadway, waiting for Domingo to get sick, which never happened. So it was. I want everybody to know that this is a long road.
Yeah.
And you might only know of us after we've made it, whatever, quote unquote, made it, but we're working full time. That's when you were aware of us. But there were 20 years leading up to that.
Yeah, completely.
Where we were just hungry to stay in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I look back at 20 years ago, I guess now, might have been 22 years ago. I was singing Rodolfo at, say, Grand Rapids, Michigan, or New Orleans, and I loved every second.
I have respect for the people who went through regional opera.
And those, I loved all that.
I loved it too. I really did. It was an environment to get your feet wet.
Yeah.
Learn, make a mistake or two, have a triumph, have a success. Learn how this business works in a smaller, safer cosm before you hit a big stage where people are expecting things. You sing in Grand Rapids, they go, oh, this looks like a nice guy. Let's see what he can do tonight.
It was a great cast. I'm still friends with much of the cast. That's what I love about, I regard myself, Christian, as a US singer, even though you can tell from my voice I'm not.
Yeah, but you went to the Manhattan School of Music. You went to Juilliard.
And I do. I love the US School of Teaching.
Yeah. What is the U.S. School of Teaching?
Well, I don't know what it's.
I think I know what it is, but I wonder what you know. I think we make great voices here.
Yeah, we do.
I don't think we make great singers yet. Great singer takes life.
It takes more. Yes, agreed. But you have to have. For me, I love that we tick that first box, that we actually make really fine voices.
Yes.
When a lot of other places they think the artistry is going to come out of some sort of crapshoot. It's not. But, you need to learn what you're doing.
Bellini said you need three things to be an opera singer: voce, voce, voce. And that was my mentality growing up. I said I need to make the most memorable, beautiful sound possible, and everything else I'm going to learn along the way.
Yeah, I mean,
sound is what's important now.
Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, with so many opera singers, we're lucky here in the United States. These regional companies, which it was a joy. And you've had your career over in Europe as well. I for whatever reason, I dodged, I guess, the Fest contract.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have.
They wouldn't have known what to do with you.
Well, with a voice like mine,
you're the guy. You're the guy they hire. Not the. I was a young bass, and so there's 3 roles for me in every opera.
Yeah, it would have been difficult, I guess. But
there's no use for you.
Me.
Yeah,
and that was frustrating for me when I, was.
They're paid peanuts. It's the worst paid job I ever had.
Well, but if we want to talk about this career, that's for most in our career, it's not a well-paid career. That's a separate issue. And
I say this all the time. I say nobody took me serious until I was 30, and nobody paid me for real until I was almost 40. And that was the trajectory of a bass baritone. Like it was survival. Stay in the game. Yeah. I say this to young kids all the time, especially, you know, if we're working in Zellerbach or we're putting the show up and the young artists are covering us, and I say, your only job right now is to stay.
Yeah.
Learn and stay. Just stay in the room. Figure out how to stay in this room, because if you're out of this room, it's very, very hard to get back in.
Yes.
And you have to continue. Like the line must continue. You can't take a 5-year break and hope to jump back in, because there's people who are hungrier and younger and willing to kill for it.
Completely. And I think in our 20 years of being in the game at the highest levels, it certainly has changed from when I started.
Oh yes.
And I'm even since
we've had to adapt.
Yeah, the pandemic. I'm even more grateful. Grateful is the best word I can use. On having the opportunity to get out there and this is my living, but also I get to sing these incredible roles and be around incredible
We could
colleagues.
be sitting at desks.
Yeah.
We could be moving papers around.
I've never done that in my life. Have you ever done that? Have you had ever a real job?
Not since college, no.
No, I worked at a service station, pumping gas.
Right. I worked at I scooped ice cream. I worked at a sporting goods store.
Yeah, well, I had to give up not working with food because I remember once I had a job picking strawberries and I ate most of the strawberries. So I got paid like $7 for the whole day because they said Simon went home with a tummy ache. God. Well, it's important though. I mean, in this career to have to learn the discipline of another sort of job as well at the start, particularly, is important. You know, if I was starting an opera career now, or if I had one of my kids was, Dad, I want to be an opera singer.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Three kids.
Yeah, three.
What's the age range?
I have twins that are 16. They were 16 last week. So being away again, a normal opera singer. I'm away for my kids' birthdays, which makes me sad.
What does a 16-year-old think of Dad?
Well, I got boy and girl twins, and then I've got Violet, who's 3 years younger. She's 13. I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, they know that I have a somewhat.
They're not impressed by us.
They're not
of all.
impressed at all, but they know that there's a slight celebrity in our business.
Look,
and
not everybody has been put on a national stamp.
Yeah. We'll get to that story. But say in New Zealand, for example, I guess I'm known, and so, they love that. I mean, their mum, my wife, she's a very, very successful person herself. She's in the law business.
You were saying that's right. You married a lawyer.
Yeah. She's good at all that.
That's helpful, though, isn't it?
Well, to have someone doing another job or something else, but you
a little balance
also have some synergy because she's also now the chair of the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, so she loves being involved with, from the government.
Was she an
side.
Arts lawyer?
We met at a singing competition back. I remember I was like to get 3rd in that competition.
Did she beat you? Please tell me she beat you.
No. She's a fine singer.
She finally
went out on a date with me like 6 months later. So that sort of thing with the kids. It's the greatest thing I have ever done.
It's by far it's the greatest thing I've ever done. But it's tough.
Being away from them.
Being away is hard, and my boy's making me feel it more too. And now at 10.
Yeah,
I get the sense that he's like, you have to leave again. Like before, it was just like, okay, see you, Papa. Like. I
mean, when I'm home, I'm so into being dad.
Yeah,
I'm essentially just an Uber driver for them, and I just go to football or tennis or basketball or whatever, and school and all that sort of stuff. And I love being full-time dad when I'm home because that's all I am. I go home, I prepare my roles that I'm going to be doing, and then I hop on the plane again and fly somewhere else in the world for 2 months, and that's sort of my life. Well, it's your life too. It's what we do. There are so many people who dream of this life, and I am one of those people who dreamt of this life.
Same.
And I'm so grateful for it.
It's not lost on you.
I love every bit of it.
Thank
I love
goodness.
The
I love to hear that.
Of going to the airport. I love the excitement of the very first day of rehearsals.
See, a lot of guys in your spot are going to be jaded.
Well, hasn't happened yet with me.
You're still grateful.
I'm certainly not great. I'm certainly not jaded, at all, because I love the music so much. I mean,
especially with what you do, it's very specialized. You could be a giant pain in the ass, and people would deal with it.
Well, I have to say, in the Wagner, and bigger Germanic sort of repertoire, There are not many dickheads.
Is that right?
There are not many.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
And that's
you guys
truth.
know you're the professional wrestlers of singing.
Well, I think people just who are doing the repertoire know that it's hard enough. It's hard enough just how it is.
Yeah.
It's you don't bring in extra baggage.
Yeah.
Sure, sometimes you're in a situation where things don't go perfectly, or you're under pressure, and you might act like a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
But that's hopefully not the norm.
Right. Well, we're all allowed a moment of dick, for sure.
Yeah. And I just think our career, though, the idea of being an opera singer is changed as well in the 20-something years that you and I have been in this game. Yeah. You know,
don't you feel like you're kind of like bridging two generations in a way? I get that. I get that sense.
You know, I feel like I'm the superstardom quality is
gone.
It's gone. It's for a very select few. You could count them on one hand.
Yeah.
The names that have and that's because mainly the recording industry's gone like it was.
Yeah.
There are still records being made.
So we're kind of in .charge of doing this now, aren't we?
So we do this, and I love this. You know, you've got your podcast. You know, I remember 20-something years ago, I bought my name.com, SimonandNeill.com.
Yeah.
And I remember the New York Times did an article on it with a photo.
That you had that an opera singer had a website.
And
isn't it?
With a photo in the New York Times. I was at Juilliard at the time. It was 24 years ago.
I turned my website on in 2004. That's 20 years ago.
And I wish I bought a lot more of the .coms back then.
Yeah.
Make a bit of money, but these sorts of things are important for us.
We are adapting. We have to adapt. Yeah.
I mean, the social media is very big. I'm not.
You're there. You could be there,
but
more.
I'm not.
But in a way, you are set. You're singing the rep that you're going to retire singing, right?
Well, I hope to do this for another 15 years at least.
Really?
Because during the pandemic,
that sort of Gregory Kunda just go forever.
I mean, that dude. I have huge respect for him.
I heard him sing Turandot last year, and I go, okay.
I mean, that dude.
Okay.
Now that's what I'm talking about, though. About learning to sing.
Oh yeah.
He's got one of the great techniques on the planet.
Yeah.
He is. There are a lot of very fine voices out there. He's got the great voice as well, but he knows what he's doing.
That's right.
I have huge respect for that.
Yeah.
You know, and same with Placido and Luciano and all the so many people. You know, when in the Wagner business as well, for a technical point of view, you have to be a good singer.
Oh, you're not going to get away with it.
To be able to do it
you won't get away with it.
There are people out there doing it.
Yeah.
I humbly say, I wish they got their voices together a bit better, technically.
Yeah. But this is the repertoire where somebody can kind of have a medium night, and we're just happy for survival. I mean, some of these roles are such killers.
Yeah.
That every note being beautiful is impossible.
It's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
No, I want to be. If I'm.
I heard a Tristan more than a decade ago in Houston, and I won't say who. We can all find out who. But the tenor struggled, and
I remember when that was happening. Yeah.
And I didn't care that he struggled. He cared. It was written all over him. It was written all over his performance that he was struggling. But for the 3 moments that he struggled in the show, the rest of it was fucking glorious.
Yeah, he is amazing. Well,
and so I didn't care for 1 second, but it was ruining his day.
Yeah, but there was just a bad day at the office in Houston when that man had sung so many Tristans all around the world.
It was
glorious. And the dude,
98% of it was glorious.
And he is one that I had the chance to be his cover at the Met, and again, a great honor to be, and I watch these dudes. I study them like a sponge how are you doing how they do the whole role, be it Lohengrin or Parsifal
or the run. How did they survive 8 performances?
It was just a hard day at the office, I guess.
Yeah. It was hard for him, but it wasn't hard for me.
Yeah.
Because 98% of it was stunning.
Yeah.
And so if he struggled on 2 notes for 1 second, I don't care at all. That doesn't affect me, but it was ruining his day, and that was clear.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
I remember once doing Tristan, a run. The first time I ever did it, I was lucky to be. I sang the role at the Glyndebourne, and then we did a performance at the Proms.
Yeah.
The 7th performance.
How many people at the Proms?
And there was like 6,000 or something.
In the round, right? They're all around you.
Yeah. And then I knew that day that I was rough. Just health-wise. I had a cold coming on, and my voice started to. And with just
when are we ever 100%?
Yeah. But I was really down. I was really bronchial and starting to because I'm an asthmatic, and I knew that my voice was not in great shape.
A Wagnerian asthmatic is really unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's when I'll get.
It's
back
that third lung that has a little bit of asthma, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to stand on that lung. People know the joke. It's not a lung you stand on when you're held in tenor. No, go back to the thing. Back to the proms. I remember, and I did the first act, and I knew it was done.
Yeah.
The second act, I knew, Simon, you're in big trouble, and then I knew that the third act had to happen, which is the big Everest. I mean,
so what's happening? Your cords are swollen. Your
voice is giving out, and knowing that I'm
can't sit on it,
and the cords are swollen and the throat's closing up, and
once it begins, you can't stop it. Yeah, because it'll continue to swell even if you don't sing.
Yeah, and you can put all the prednisone,
all the bullshit.
It's a psychological thing in the end. But I knew that on stage was my cover, who was singing the part of Melot, and I remember as we left the stage at the proms between the second and third act, I put my arm around this chap and
feeling warm, my friend.
Yeah, and I said, Neil, my voice is falling out. I need you, dude. Can you do the third act for me? And he said, no worries, mate.
Okay.
And so the next day, of course,
he jumped in.
He just jumped in and sang that whole third act, and he also had to sing his own part. Once Tristan's dead, Melot comes back on stage and gets killed. I love that guy.
Great.
Now, his name's Neil Cooper. Now, the great story about this: Neil Cooper's uncle is a very, very famous British celebrity boxer who was
celebrity boxer.
Well, like a big celebrity called Sir Henry Cooper. Sir Henry Cooper fought Cassius Clay. And Muhammad Ali.
Oh, both.
Yeah,
he stuck around that long.
Yeah, so he's really famous. So the next day in the Guardian and the Times, it had all these boxing analogies.
Yeah.
The cover
knockout at the proms.
Knockout at the proms. The cover sticks. Jumps into the ring. And it was a beautiful story. Now, me personally, I was upset because I knew that my voice had fallen out. But you know what? I now look at that, back on that though, and I felt I was just in a game of rugby, and I twisted my ankle, and I couldn't play it. Someone else had to come on.
We are professional athletes. Absolutely.
And there were so many, for the first 20 years of my career, I just never would want to cancel. I would always give my all, even if I was under the weather. And now, with these roles, I want the audience and the orchestra and my colleagues to have to not have to be around me if I'm really struggling because I'm ill.
I see. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more disciplined now. If I get really ill, I tell them.
Right.
Rather than trying to be I remember at the Met years ago, I was in the the big dressing room there as you walk in, the first one, and I'm singing Zygmunt, and I was so ill, and I thought,
what am I doing here?
And
you get in that mirror.
Yeah,
I get in that mirror and I go, what are you doing here?
Well, yeah, and they have two covers. They have
they go too deep. Yeah,
too deep with the Wagners, and I should have cancelled.
Yeah. If you go, if I get to an intermission, I'll get paid. Maybe I'll be okay.
No,
maybe I can push on.
I didn't even make intermission, so I just so you know, I got not 1 cent that day, and I was really ill. But fortunately, my cover, I asked him to get into his costume already.
Yeah.
And I left the stage, halfway through the first act, international broadcast,
Oof.
went home just in tears.
It's hard. I know. It's over. It's over. It's
not over. You're just sick.
No. Yeah,
and to do this sort of stuff, you need to, if you're going to sing the Boeto Mephistopheles, you need to be healthy to do that.
You sure do. Yeah. You better look good too.
I've auditioned for it a few times.
But I watched the Major League World Series the other day. And Aaron Judge, center fielder for the New York Yankees, dropped a routine fly ball that led to 5 runs for the Dodgers. Yeah. And they ended up winning the World Series. Now, is that the catalyst that lost the World Series? Probably not. But this was the star player, the second highest paid player in the history of Major League Baseball, certainly the whole franchise of the New York Yankees, drop a routine fly ball to center field because his fundamentals weren't on point that day. And you go, if that can happen there on that stage, this sort of thing happens.
It does happen.
This is not a strange occurrence. Is his career over? No. Is his paycheck over? No. He's still a center fielder for the Yankees. But
it is part of our career, the health part, to looking after our voices. For most of the time, we're out there and we're in pretty good shape. I've been lucky here, and I've been since the pandemic. I mean, I've tried to keep myself in really good health.
Yeah.
Look, I'm an overweight dude. I try to.
You're not that big. I've seen a lot bigger Wagnerians in my life.
But so that's,
it's a big stage.
I'm cool with that.
Our people are big. This is all there is to it. Our people are big.
Yeah, we are big
as
and strong.
a group on whole.
I mean, when I grab, my co-star on stage, Wolfgang, in the third act, I mean, it is like we're in a rugby game. I'm a rugby player from New Zealand, right? So it's a full-on game.
Yeah.
And we are, we're firm with each other.
My first Wagner opera was Tannhäuser in Munich, and I was singing Bitterhof.
Yep. I love Bitterhof's little bit.
It's one little page aria. I was set up for success. So I get to the room on the first day, and I weigh 200 pounds, 215 pounds, 6'5", and I feel like I'm a large man. Okay. And then I get in the room, and there's Peter Seifert and Hans-Peter König. And these two men were giants. I felt like a kid. These two men were so gigantic, and they're probably not taller than me, but at least they look me right in the eye, which makes me feel short. Rarely does somebody look me directly in the eye.
When Hans-Peter sings the giants in Rheingold, he doesn't need to.
No stilts.
He is the giant.
No stilts needed.
It's the same with the women too. The women in the Wagner particularly are all very most, not all.
They're 6 feet tall.
They're tall and strong women, which makes. It makes it fun on stage, because then you can really use your body in the singing.
I remember Stephanie Blythe saying that one time. I remember Christine Gerke saying that she goes, I love that my colleagues are large men, because these girls at 6 foot tall, like they need this to be comfortable, to match. Like, I
love, with both those women, love singing with them. I've sung a lot with Christine, and we've done Brunhilde's Siegfried, and heaps of cool things together. And I followed her career, dreaming to be in the Met Young Artist program like she was and stuff.
And you did. Only a few years behind. Oh, you didn't do the Met program.
No, I did I was in the competitions, but I cried that I didn't get into the Met.
I didn't get into the program either.
Upset. And I remember Galetha Nichols saying, in her office down there, saying, Simon, you're going to have a different route to being here. It's not going to be through and I was upset. I thought, oh golly, but
this was the only way this was going to work. I need to be at the best.
Way for me, right. And I thought that might have been going to Germany, where I go and sing the Gehannestabahn in the Magic Flute
1,000 times,
and the odd time when and then sort of the baby sort of German roles. But back then, in 2001, 2002, that's when I started on this Wagner journey. I mean, I thought that I would hopefully be out singing Cavaradossi and Pinkerton and Calaf and all
that's what you
these
wanted.
Other things, which I love. Still sing, and I did sing those for.
Do you think they knew back then that you were already going to go on this path? You were.
Some people, Ken Noder at the Met,
but Levine loved Helden tenors. I'm surprised he didn't just grab you and say, "You're my special project.
Well,
we're going to put you in."
I sort of did get grabbed. I remember the audition in 2003. At the Met, I was auditioning for the Armoured Guard in the new Julie Taymor.
Come on.
Then it was the new. It was the
you as first Armoured Man is a joke. Even 20 years ago, it's a joke.
In 2004,
if I was at Tamino, I'd go to the top of the Met and jump off.
I tell you what, but the Armoured Guards are great parts. Once did it at Salzburg.
Oh, I did it a bunch.
And the second Armoured Guard was Günter Grosbeck. So we're both there, and Multi's conducting, and he's laughing because we had you had.
You sang it like it was the last day of your life.
Oh, we were going hard. It was just brilliant. And lovely Paul Groves was there 1 year, and then Michael Shah the next year as Tamino.
The two Salzburg Taminos, if ever there were any.
Loved it. It's.
I sang a lot of those. A lot of Second Armoured Man. A lot of speakers.
Well, those are the things that are voices like yours and mine do on our off night.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It was always an add-on. Hey, while you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
I'm
that.
cool with that.
I love that.
I'm cool with that. But back then when
Eric Halverson told me about the add-on. Eric said he says our voice type's great because we can go and get paid for something major. And hey, while you're here.
Yeah.
Would you mind also jumping in and singing Zoroastro on your off nights or something?
Yeah. I mean, I listened to that dude sing. I'm a huge fan of Eric.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, such great. He has the chainsaw in the voice. I mean that. I'm going to explain what I mean by the chainsaw.
Yes.
You have it too. The chainsaw is, it could be a chainsaw, it could be a Harley Davidson, but it's in the voice, right?
The buzz.
So the buzz. But when you're at the lights in your car, I'm sitting in the lights in my Tesla, and a Harley Davidson pulls up beside me. They're not revving the instrument, they're not revving the motorbike, they're just going that sort of sound, which I love. Same thing with the chainsaw. Yeah. You have that. Eric has that. James Morris has that.
It's just
all these
the thunder is or like brewing before you.
It's just not boiling. It's just simmering.
Yeah.
This sound.
If we're not buzzing, we don't feel like we're working. If it's not buzzing, you're not doing something right. At least that's how I was trained. Like, if you keep it in the mask, we can make colors later, but we must start in the correct position.
Well, I will always defend singing in the mask.
Yeah.
And I guess
well, look, if you're going to blast through the French horns, you have to.
And the Das Lied von der Erde and Mahler, you need to have some sort of focus. Because if you have just a big, fat, wide sound, it just, in the big halls, it sounds impressive in a small room or on a microphone.
Right.
But in the big halls, it doesn't carry.
Yeah.
My teacher Donald McIntyre, for this Wagner stuff, he sang so many times with Birgit Nilsson.
Yes.
And he said that Birgit Nilsson sounded like a mosquito up close.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing about Pavarotti.
Yeah, and Pavarotti, I tell you what, when I was a student there in New York, Pavarotti would be in there singing, I know, Tamino, or singing André Chenier. I was at all those things. It was the loudest voice in the hall.
Right,
because it was just perfect singing,
just laser beam through the orchestra,
so gorgeous.
But in the small rehearsal space, they said it was not very impressive.
Yeah, well, I was never in the
no,
in the rehearsal
I never
room.
met the man. I never met him.
I was just getting my standing room tickets. I was lucky to have a lesson once with him. I went along and prepared some Idomeneo.
You sang for him?
Yeah. I had a big lesson in a master class at Juilliard. Oh,
wait, the famous one that was made into videos at the time?
Yeah, well, Pavarotti, the famous.
He was a little rough on the bass, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, I don't know if my one was. It was Juilliard, and he was there, and I can remember the young
Susan
Bob
Metzner
Kim,
sang.
No, that was the time before.
Okay, the time before he was a little rough on the bass. I remember going, "Oh."
And of course, the most famous master class at Juilliard would have been the Colors master class of 1970.
Yeah, I mean they turned that into a
So old Pav, I love that. Even when I'm singing this German repertoire, that is my ideal singer.
Yeah,
right. That's my ideal way to sing, to use one's human instrument.
Did he like you? Did you get the sense that he
was? Yeah, we got on really well. I mean, I prepared a Donizetti aria.
He didn't start to ask you how you're singing so he could copy.
No, he was just. I was terrified, and of course, there's a lot of people there and everything, but. I sang Angelo Castoi Bel from Il Duca d'Alba. It's a Donizetti. It's a gorgeous aria.
Did he know it?
He recorded it in 1960,
Huge
1965,
mistake.
And I learned it for that reason.
He was a terrible know-it-all.
Well, he'd tell me all about that. It was this and that. And I was terrified to speak, and I in the past I have actually got over the video again, and I thought, Simon, but I was so nervous. I was just speaking absolute bullshit.
He was a god. He was a god. Your brain wouldn't even be working staring at him. You know what I mean? Like that was a different. He was a global star. That wasn't just a star at the Met. I mean, he ran. He was the vision to this day of what an opera singer looks like. The cliched.
It was such an honor to sing for him. And a guy from the New Yorker magazine was there, did a big, a story on it with the famous New Yorker cartoons and stuff on Pavarotti, and speaks all about what I was doing and stuff. So I have this memory of it, which is such, it's one of I look back on my career.
You pinch yourself. You go, okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think. I had that opportunity. That was pretty cool. So even from there, though, going back to the start of the Wagner singing, it's no different for me. I've tried to sing or learning to sing Tosti songs or Bellini or Donizetti songs or Schubert Lieder than singing Wagner arias.
It's the same approach.
It's the same approach for me completely. I'm a pianist, so I always start from the music first. I know a lot of singers will say text, that they start from the text.
I start with rhythm because that's what's going to goof me up later. I sing like a real entry level student. I go rhythm first.
That's cool.
Then I'm going to put the text into the rhythm. The notes. Yeah. What are we? I need the notes. If I hear it once, I can sing it like I wrote it. If it's not Berg, or Webern, if it's Wagner or Verdi. If you hear it once, you sing it like you wrote it. Like it's not. That's not the hard part. For me, it's making sure that rhythm is right first because it'll be sloppy later, or the text is right first because it'll be sloppy later.
The text will be able to slip in better. Yeah. But there's everyone will have their own way. I love learning the piano scores of these.
Are you a prompter guy? Do you like the prompter there?
I love the prompter. I'm able to get over the hill now of these massive rolls that I have them in my head.
Yeah.
Sure, you'll be doing Tristano. I might get the odd D and Dus and Dia. Yeah. I might get the odd thing mixed around, and it might be half a sentence.
You have to do like I did when I lived in Munich and just say duh. Yeah. And they got you. They got you covered.
And I love that stuff though. I mean, the prompter here, Matthew Pyatt, is an amazing.
Matthew Pyatt has walked me through many an evening. He's wonderful. Yeah,
and he knows,
and anticipates. He knows when you need him.
It's just when I look at him, I will glance, and you just see his face. You see his mouth the word. You don't actually have to hear it.
Yes, you're
I remember
right.
the very first time I worked with a prompter. It was the amazing Kathy Kelly at the Met, and we were doing Valkyrie at the time. And seeing her gorgeous face there, giving, and I remember being.
They're a friend. They really are a friend. Aren't
she was just so amazing and such an amazing musician herself. But I remember Placido, and she would prompt a lot for him, and I didn't care if he sang the wrong word. I didn't give two hoots. No. That dude was a god singing Zygmunt.
Yes.
Such beautiful singing.
Yeah. If you got most of it, we were fine.
Him and Debbie Voigt out there. And, I was at that time, with the great American tenor Clifton Forbes as well.
Oh,
He was just an amazing singer. I was lucky to be his cover once, and then Ben Heppner, and then also Johann Bolter. The late Johann
I sang
Bolter,
with Johann. Sure.
What a singer. I mean,
we did an Otello together.
God.
I never heard anything like it. It was
I would love
was
to sing
him
that.
and Adrian Pijanka.
Yeah, gorgeous woman. Yeah. I mean, Adrian was at one of the Zieglanders, I remember at this time. We did Lohengrin and Houston together.
And Johann was a humongous man. And he would just stand there, open that mouth, and it was just like stunning. This stunning instrument.
I would stand outside his dressing room and listen to him warm up. And that guy would often warm up his falsetto. He'd spend a lot of time on the falsetto.
There's a lot of people who believe in this.
Yeah. Now, being a tenor, my falsetto used to be pretty good when I was a baritone.
Right.
But now I'm a tenor. I take, I'm a lot more.
You take the weight all the way up.
Yeah. So the falsetto. So I've now for the last 5 years, I've really worked at bringing that falsetto.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
you're still a student. You're still learning.
I'm loving that. Because if it's good enough for Johann Bolder, it's good enough for me. That's for sure.
But I think that's what keeps us here is to continue to grow and learn.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where I thought, okay, this is a victory lap moment. It's not. It's just the new starting point.
Yeah.
You level up in your career, your money, or role, or opera house, whatever you do. You level up and you go, okay, now I'm this. Well, you have to maintain that. You have to stay. Yeah.
To staying in the game, to stay we're on the freeway.
Yes.
There are plenty of off ramps.
Yeah.
We made our own on ramps onto this freeway. And
we elbowed our way in often. This business doesn't need you. It doesn't need us. Somebody will do the work. And so there's an elbowing that needs to kind of happen to make sure that you get your space early on, especially.
I mean, that's a really.
It doesn't need it. It's a self-cleaning organism. If it's not good, the upper business will get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so if you're good, you can stay to a certain point, but you need to make your room, because for you to sing, somebody else has to not sing. Yeah, and there's guys behind you that look at you the same way.
From years ago that probably had bigger elbows than me.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen for them. And I absolutely thought 20 years ago that some of these people would be having this huge career.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen for them. And
there's a lot of reasons why a career doesn't happen.
But that is the downside of our career, that a lot of people will do what they think is ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're
we did it right.
Yeah.
Master's degree, young artist program. I went into a FES contract like that. These were the steps that we were told if you do these things.
But that is our way.
Yeah. I don't think it's the way anymore.
It's like an injection into the vein.
Yeah.
Into the blood supply. That was the way back then. There's also the big competition winners, be it in the Met competition or
there are people who can throw down an aria and take all the money, but could never survive a run.
Well, a lot of people do that back in the day, but they're still great singers, but they just didn't have the career didn't work out for them, or it didn't.
Losing a competition hurt way more than winning felt good, in my opinion. If there was only winning, if I didn't win, it was a big, humongous waste of time.
Truly, no.
It hurt too much.
I very seldomly won. Yeah. But I was, as I said at the start,
I had one year where I won everything, and then I never won again, and so I just stopped. I was like, well,
I just wanted to
I had my moment.
Make the semis and make the finals and make the
I wanted
final.
The money so I could survive.
Dude, we wanted that. Look, in the end, I mean...
The Met competition paid $15,000 in 2003. And to a 22-year-old kid.
Yeah, that was big. Yeah.
Blood money.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah,
it was 2 years of rent and food. I could have stretched that far. It was like what 15,000. What a cushion that was to go. Okay, well, I'm on the right path. I can continue.
Well, there seems to be things out there. For people
you don't even rehearse for less than 15K. No.
Yeah, 15K Thai baht. That's my fee. A free bowl of pho soup, that's my fee now.
How's your ramen?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing with your podcast talking about the money as well for this career, because the career is we're at a level that yourself and myself, we're grateful for it, yes, but we're at a level
we're
now
catching up is what we're doing.
Is getting some getting impressive fees.
Yeah.
But there are also.
I actually don't think we're paid what we're worth. We're getting what we can, but it should be a lot more than it is.
It's a different game now than it was even 20 years ago when we started.
For sure.
It's less paid.
We're workers in a way now.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of fine with that.
It is what it is. I don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish it was like this or like this or like this, but it is what it is. But
I do get, with the finances in our business, I do get often frustrated.
Yeah.
Where the administration side, that say someone working in the administration office of an opera company that probably has way too many administrators in that company, is getting paid twice as much as someone who is more than twice as much, and they are doing a basic secretarial job. That's frustrating.
Yeah,
when this
there's a lot of
young
money,
singer is given their all,
barely getting by.
Yeah, that does frustrate me, and it happens worldwide. It's always. I
think what it does is it separates killers and not killers, because if the dog climbing the hill is way more hungry than the dog on top of the hill. And so creating this element of hungry young singers makes a fierce competition. Oh, yeah, but it's and the best show up.
Bloody great singers now.
I'm surrounded. I don't hear bad singing anymore. No. I haven't heard a bad singer in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm on stage with
they're
two fellow
all
tenors,
fantastic,
and both those dudes could sing my role easily. And
everybody looks like they're headshot. They're all gorgeous.
Yeah, and I think just shut up, or at least sing without so much talent with these dudes. They're so incredible. What I like about both my tenors on stage, that you say, I remember when I was starting Wagner roles that I had mentors to me come up to me and give me on-stage advice. The big one, Sir John Tomlinson, for example.
John Tom was a hero of mine. I got to sing with him, and I fanboyed the whole time. I couldn't believe it.
I remember we were once, because he's a knight of the realm.
Yeah, well, no surprise.
Sir John, I love him. And of course, my teacher is Sir Don as well. Sir Don McIntyre, the great Voltan from 1976 at the Boulez Ring, the Chirot Ring.
Yeah.
But John and I were once at La Scala doing the Valkyrie with Mr. Barenboim and Beltrop Meyer.
Not bad.
It was way cool. And John, he was like Blackadder, and I was like Baldric. I'd just follow him around. Milan,
say things.
Yeah, and we'd just
go
around all these places together. And we'd go to this Indian restaurant most nights, And we had this little table, and they loved him because he was, a British knight of the realm. But getting back to him and his singing, that's a dream of mine, to be like that, as a colleague as well, as a mentor, as a teacher. On stage, he's a nuclear reactor of energy. Yeah, and it goes away from him. It just he doesn't suck the energy.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, I have to say, in the Wagner business, there are not many oxygen stealers at the top level. When I find in some other repertoire,
oxygen stealers, a great way to put it.
Oxygen stealers, or
where you see the singer and not the character.
No, I'm talking about sometimes on stage. It doesn't happen so much in Wagner, I have to say, where you will see singers who will sponge energy from other people. I can't stand that. Yeah, I cannot stand that at all. Yeah, when I was Placido's cover, I saw him as an immense reactor of energy. He would just emit energy. And it would be emitted, to Debbie Voigt singing Zieglinde or whoever. And same thing with Sir John Tom. And that's what I want to be like, is to emit energy.
You're feeding as opposed to taking.
Yeah, so when I'm on stage with my Isolde here, amazing German soprano, Anja Kamper, we are both just beaming energy at each other, which makes you sing better. Yeah. When John is the greatest one I've ever seen doing that. But again, he'd come up to me when I first sang Zygmunt, the role of Zygmunt at Covent Garden. It was my debut in the role.
Not a bad debut.
not a bad debut. I was Placido's cover, and then I get upgraded to be double cast with Placido.
Look, if a voice like yours is not going to cover very long, and if you want the right cover, you're going to pay him.
I was, I was so overjoyed to be in that. That was in 2007. But I would say the name of Fricka. Fricka is the mezzo soprano in the second act of Valkyrie, and I'd say it like that in a sort of quasi-American Fricker. And I remember John coming up to me and
horrified.
Saying, he goes, "Look, Simon, young man, her name is Fricka. Okay, so you can't call her Fricker." And then, of course, he was Hunding in that. No, actually, he got upgraded because Bryn was supposed to be in it, but something happened, and then John was Wotan. So it was the last time John sang Wotan.
He sang Wotan in 2007.
Yeah, I was on stage there with him singing that. Everyone was in tears. It was so amazing. Just the Spannung, the cojones of the man. Yeah. Just amazing to be out there. Yeah. My God, it was just incredible.
By the time I sang with him, and this was 2017. 10 years after that.
Was it that the cathedral, the one in the cathedral?
It was Exterminating Angel.
Right.
At the Met, and the color of the voice was Sir John Tom. There's no mistaking this sound. Two notes into it, he sounded more his age than probably he did in 2007. Didn't matter for 1 second. Did not matter for 1 second.
There's one of those YouTube memes that's been around for, I guess, 10 years. It's called the Wotan Sing-Off of the 11. I recommend people just to look at it. It's the 11 best Wotans, or whatever this person who put the video together. It's their version.
The recordings they can get their hands on.
Some of the early ones from the 1930s and 40s, and through all and John's on there as well. And it's the last line of "Hier meine Speere Spitze fürcht." It's the very last line of Wotan, which has an extended high F sharp.
I know it. Yeah.
It's pretty full on after you've sung all that whole.
It's a long night.
And that's hard as shit. Yeah. And John doing that is just it's so great. It's in the Kupfer ring of the 1990s in Bayreuth. Yeah. It's the amazing cast. Him, Siegfried Jerusalem, Waltraud Meyer, all this. It's just.
You love it.
Dame, I love all this stuff. I'm an audiophile. I love.
You love who came before. You love how they did it. You love to. Yeah.
Like with Tristan, I listened to. I look at the list of who sung Tristan here at San Francisco Opera, and
you went to the archives to have a look.
Well, they sent it to me.
They wanted you to know.
It's Laudates Melchior sang it for 5 seasons here. Raymond Vinay, Wolfgang Windgassen, Jess Thomas, and they're just the ones of the sort of first 50 years who are all my heroes.
Right. But that's you. You know that.
Well, I'm on that list now.
Isn't
and
that
I'm very
nice?
proud of that.
Yeah.
And the same.
There was a moment where I started to do bigger things in bigger places, and the reviews couldn't help but to say a couple of choice names to compare me to. especially when you're singing the Devils.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to say Sam Raimi. They can't help themselves.
Yep.
And at first, I was sort of getting annoyed by this. Like, can't I just be me? Like, why do I have to be compared to the great? And then I go, you're being compared to the great.
Yeah.
They're putting you in the same sentence with that guy.
Dude.
Isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you wanted, actually.
I mean, name comparisons are always funny. There was a review. I mean, some people read reviews, some people don't. I do.
You read them?
I even, and I've had poor reviews, I've had good reviews.
The bad ones make me laugh.
The bad ones are the ones I remember, and the other ones I somewhat cherish some of them because actually
a really great one I don't believe. I go that's all fluff.
Yeah, well, most of the time they're right on the money with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay.
Like I know my voice is.
Will you change something based on reading a review?
No, never.
Yeah. Well,
never.
You might do it and not realize it.
No. It's usually. My reviews are usually Simon O'Neill sang the role well, but essentially we don't like his voice. That's essentially what. And
Fuck off.
But that's where. So my voice is, they call it reedy. It has a reedy quality to it. Yeah. And then it said, much like John Vickers. Oh, I think
fucking A.
I'll rub with that. Thank you very much, brother. And there's another one that said, it was reminiscent of. It was a sort of a negative comment. But reminiscent of Wolfgang Windkasser. I said,
no problem.
Brother,
Thank
bring
you.
it.
Thank
Bring
you.
it. I'm quite happy with that. Because, I think, I listen to, so many of the tenors of the past. A reedy voice, for example, is Alfredo Kraus. The
reedy.
Yeah. Reedy.
Yeah. Bright in your face.
Yeah.
His eyes are bulging from forward placement.
It has a woodwind double reed type quality.
That's
I
right.
mean, Siegfried Jerusalem had this as well. There are so many, you can go through so many voices, but I love the individuality of voices. I think when someone hears my voice, they know it's me. And that's what I take as a great
superstar stuff.
I take that as a great, and again, it could be it's subjective if you like it or not. And that's
it's amazing, isn't it? Because there are famous singers that I've heard a dozen times, and I can't hear their voice in my head right now. And there are other singers that, as soon as you mention their name, I can hear them. Yeah. In the silence, I can hear the quality of their sound.
And I'm fine with that.
But this is an amazing that somebody would recognize you in one or two notes. This is everything we've ever wanted, right? Yeah, well, you shouldn't sound like somebody else. You should sound like you. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is also, Christian, I'm not saying that. That my voice is great or whatever. It is my voice.
It is great. You're allowed to say that. You know what I mean?
I'm very proud of how I sing.
Yeah.
I think if I may say so, I feel I'm a really good singer.
You're the standard bearer for this repertoire.
But I think that's separate from the voice itself.
Yeah.
There are so many things about my actual instrument that I wish I could do differently
or
change.
Right.
Many things.
Yeah.
But generally how I sing, from a technical point of view, I'm very proud of that, particularly in this repertoire. Yeah. I know that I can sing Tristan in a night and, give me half an hour and, half a can of lager and I could probably sing the thing again.
You really think so?
Yeah, I really could.
Oh, what is that? That must feel so good.
Which is a really good feeling.
I have a certain number of notes in a day, and when I've gone through those notes, that's the end of the day.
Okay, that's cool.
And tomorrow we can start all over from the very beginning with all the same number of notes. But I really, my technique, which I am very proud of and works well for me, is not one that I can just pound away at and hope that it's going to get.
I have no
stay
interest
with
in
me,
that pound in a way that I have to say the role of Tristan particularly is a finite role.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other ones that I would just sing for eternity.
Yeah.
I have no problem with. Tristan, I know every time I sing that role complete.
Costs something.
It's a little cost. It's a little notch that goes.
Yeah.
And I know that
How many have you done?
I've only done, this is my third production of it. So I've done I guess 20 odd performances, something like that.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
When Zygmunt, I've done 100 or something, and I love singing that sort of stuff. And I'm doing Siegfried, later this week. I fly to the other side of the world. I'm going to China.
Yeah.
The day after with lovely Brian Mulligan and I are going to be in China. Who I love, Brian, because we were both at Juilliard together.
Brian's going to be it. From my money on the Votons coming up.
Well,
my money's with Mully right now.
I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. We have,
and that voice that he has now. I went to school with Mulligan.
God,
he had it then.
Yeah, I was at Juilliard with him. He was doing his bachelor's.
All of that metal.
Yeah,
he was at Yale for 1 year when I was there.
Did you get the blue ring?
The what?
The ring from Yale. Remember they had?
No.
I once saw this. The ring on the finger. It's a blue ring with it's one of those graduate rings.
No,
with
for
the
sure
Y
I
for
don't.
yellow. And I said I was so desperate to go to Yale just to get that.
Just to get
goddamn
the ring. I
Yeah,
have
he
an old
went
grey
there.
T-shirt
He
somewhere.
must have come to Juilliard after that, or he went there.
He was only there for a year. Brian didn't. I don't think he loved it there, and so he left. I loved it there. I was thriving.
I would
there.
have loved to have gone to Yale. To that program. It was Doris
and Richard Cross,
and Richard, Richard. You know, at the start, he was he came to Juilliard and he started me on this Wagner journey.
Is that right?
So many of these people that
It's
I had.
the only voice teacher I've ever had.
An amazing dude.
Yeah.
You know, and
I talked to him a week ago. He's 89.
Oh, please. He won't remember me, but please
no,
pass
believe
my
me,
best.
he knows exactly who
Please
you are.
pass him my best.
I
So many people
I
like
assure
that.
you, he remembers you.
Well, Christian, on our journeys, both our journeys, there are so many people that, you know, that if I saw them, I'd burst into tears and thank them so much.
Yeah.
Of just saying thank you so much for
Anybody get it
believing in
wrong?
me.
Did anybody tell you your business and say, you know what, this might not be for you?
You know, if they did say that, I can't actually remember anyone saying that to me. But if they did, I probably would have said, "Oh, get fucked."
Yeah.
You know, I probably would have. I was that sort of person. When I
It
had
used
to
to get me so fired up that I would, as soon
Marlena.
as somebody said that, I would level up.
Yeah, well, Marlena Mullis, she'd rip me a new one.
Is that right?
Oh yes, I would leave.
I
that
met her
studio
one
in
time.
shaking tears.
I sang with Spiro once.
I love
so
Spiro.
and so I got to
Spiro
meet her.
Would put his arm around me and say, "Simon, don't worry about it." You know. And I remember once Marlena, she was so angry at the way I was singing. She goes, "You are destroying my credibility in New York City."
Woo! Damn.
Yeah, she was really upset that I didn't organise
What were you
the
doing?
Passaggio that
Were
well.
you drunk that day?
I wish I was. God. And
You're ruining my reputation in New York.
It's honest, that was harsh that day. Again, you know, I went back and saw her the next day with some flowers and stuff. And but she was my big New York teacher for a long time.
She helped you. She seemed to be the kind of teacher that could help anyone.
Well, that's what I like about her. You know, has so many.
Her singers
students.
didn't sound the same.
Yeah, you got Susie Graham.
Yeah.
Gorgeous American mezzo who specialized.
I
in
heard
French
her
and,
2 months ago. She sounds 35.
dude. That
Healthy
woman,
as hell.
she's amazing.
I don't know why she's not busier. She should be singing anything she wants
But there's so many people
Wow.
that like Susie and Paul Groves and stuff that I wanted to hear them all the time because they're immense singers.
Paul was amazing to me because he reinvented himself, I think, 4 times. You know, he rolled in and he goes, okay, I'm Tamino, I'm Ferrando, I'm the Mozart tenor. And for 10, 15 years, if they were doing Mozart, it was Paul Groves.
It was.
Salzburg Festival.
Yep.
I mean, it was all the right places.
Yep.
And then he was like, I think I'm going to sing French rep. And do you think he was going to go into like Romeo or no? He goes right to Damnation. He goes, no. I'm dramatic. You know,
he was the dude. But also he'd do the Faust, the Damnation de Faust. But also he'd also sing Nadir in the Pearlfishes and stuff. There's a thing I remember on YouTube of him singing. It is exquisite.
Paul was a total pro. I mean, the guy rolled in.
Now Paul is the boss of I think Baton Rouge in Louisiana. I think.
Is that right? Is he running something?
I think he's now the boss.
I heard him in Champion at the Met last year.
Yeah.
I mean, still just throwing
Great
down.
singer.
I mean, the top is all in order. You know.
I remember I was once in New Orleans years ago singing Rodolfo, and Paul was out of town, and he has this lovely home there, and he said, "Oh, you just go and live in my house." I mean, so he just was so generous.
Did you survive?
I loved being in New Orleans.
Paul rolls hard. I know you roll hard too, but Paul rolls particularly.
Yeah, I would like to go out fishing with him
Yeah.
on his boat.
Yeah.
Because I have a boat now, and I'm not such a big fisherman, but it's the
Paul's
the
all
social
man. He's
aspect.
all man.
He's proper. Like
Yeah.
we play golf together
Yeah.
in
Golf,
Salzburg
fishing,
Festival.
drinking.
Yeah, and he's the real deal and sings like a goddamn rock star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there are so many of these dudes that are these sort of half generation older than us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just in their late 50s or early 60s.
Paul looks younger than us, by the way.
My God.
The
There
gray
are
and the
so
beard
many.
is serious.
There's so
I mean,
many.
this is like.
Yeah, I tell you what. Well, of course, I've
You've got
they've,
some,
No,
yeah.
they've dyed my hair here.
Is that
so
right?
I have a dyed beard. So I'm silver, completely silver. So
In your repertoire, though, you're middle aged, and in my the stuff I'm doing, I'm elder statesman now. You know, we're doing Carmen. and I've got 10 years on the next person.
Well, you're the Enzio Pinza. You are him. You're going to have that fountain named after you at the Met. They'll have the Christian Van Horn fountain.
Sure.
And then the bloody Enzio Pinza. I would drink at that fountain with those small little cups that I have. And say,
it's the best part of the Met is that they've got nice free water for you because...
imagine having a fountain named after you.
Is the other one, is House Left named, or is it only House Right?
I don't know. Shit. Well, you need it.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it myself. I'll buy the plaque.
No, we'll just have pop it up. The Van Horn beer
the beer tap. Do they have beer?
That's what you need. The Van Horn.
The $19 3-ounce beer at the Met.
Oh, shit, God. Yeah.
We were doing Mephistopheles. We had to make an entrance through the house, and so we're in the front of the house. Myself and Michael Fabiano, and our director Paula Sposi, and we're out there and. The guys are selling the champagne right where we're kind of like waiting to load in. And Fob said something like, "Oh, we should let's have a champagne before we go out." And I go, and it turned into kind of a dare, like who was going to do it, you know? I'm in full Mephisto regalia. I mean, we're clearly in the show. I'm holding a candelabra that's got 19 candles on it, you know, like, and go over to the guy and go, "Okay, 2 champagnes." We're thinking in our heads like, you know, he's going to pour half a champagne and we'll have a good laugh. Let's take a picture and then we'll go do the show. By the way, we're in the middle of the show. Yeah. So he pours the champagnes and he goes, "All right, $48.50. Okay.
We got no money, brother.
We were in our costumes. And I just started to laugh because, I mean, he's like, no, for real. Like, you have to pay for this. And we go, "You see, we're in the show, right? Like, this is..." I said, "I think Peter Gelb's going to pick this one up," but he's like, I need a card or something."
Oh my God, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
So Paula pulls out her ATM card and pays for these fucking drinks.
$24 each for some. Yeah.
I hope we paid her back, but it's one of these terribly embarrassing moments.
Around the Met there, you know, going over to Rosa Mexicana and getting a pomegranate margarita or something like that after a
mango
show.
Margarita,
That was always nice. That was a nice
sugar and alcohol is usually a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I missed New York. I lived there for 10 years, 9 years actually, and I felt like a New Yorker.
Yeah, of course.
I really did.
You
even
would.
though I lived on the Upper West Side. Yeah. My first apartment was on 81st Street, then 84th, and lived on West End, and then I lived for a long time at the Ansonia building. And
did you really?
Yeah, well, my singing teacher who actually took me to New York, Francis Wilson and Steve Fitzgerald, are both New Zealanders. They had a business that they would do up apartments.
Flip them.
It wasn't just flipping. They would make
major renovations,
major deals. So they were in the Ansonia building. I think it was built in 1904, and interesting, the bricks that they built the 72nd subway.
Yeah.
Is the bricks that's left over from?
Is that right?
Yeah, same brick.
Anyway, you mean the entrance to the 72nd Street subway station come from the Ansonia building? No kidding.
So these guys,
Matthew Epstein was in that building.
He was in there for years.
He's still there.
And
would you have to go sing for him? He'd kind of insist.
I remember once being in there, and I think Teresa Stratus was in there. Angelina Jolie was on my floor for a while. Yeah. Well, I lived in 3 different apartments.
You lived on the same floor as Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, this was before she married.
I might
Billy.
Just live in the hallway, hoping to catch a glimpse.
The hallways you can live in there.
They're right. They were built for carriages, from what I understood.
Laurent Melchior lived in there. He would set up a target, and he would fire his gun down the hall. It's true. It happened.
I don't even care if it's not true.
Fucking hilarious. So anyway, my singing teacher,
I heard that those hallways were built so that the carriage could go into the elevator, be brought up to the floor, and your carriage could bring you to your door. Like they had horses in there. Like that's how tall.
And they had
were.
they had a farm up on the.
Did
roof.
You know about the basement?
People in the know have told me all about the basement.
You know who told me about the basement?
Who?
Comedian Martin Short.
Truly.
He told me about the basement of the Ansonia building because he admitted to first seeing we were doing the Kennedy Center Awards.
That was it was big in the 70s when it was
very big. Yeah.
It was a place to go for.
So I'm sitting with Martin Short at dinner.
God.
And he's inducting or he's giving an award to Bette Midler, And so he starts to tell the table about where he first saw Bette Midler, and he saw her in the basement at the Ansonia. My ears went up because I heard about the bathhouse. And I said, what was the story down there? He's like, oh, yeah, this was famous, and she was down, that was where she made her career, was singing at the, I don't know if it was a proper bathhouse, but it was definitely like a 70s swinger gay club kind of vibe down there.
Right.
But that everybody went to, it was like Studio 54, but just a little more subversive,
Yeah.
And so he said her accompanist was Barry Manilow was her accompanist. God. Yeah, Barry Manilow and Bette Midler and Martin Short down there in the basement of the Ansonia building with the pools and all this.
Was Martin Short in his fat suit character?
I wish. Oh God, I wish.
Once I did a gig.
Jiminy Glick.
I was Jiminy Glick, and I was in New York, and I was singing the national anthems for something. It was at Cipriani's restaurant, I remember, and then I got invited by a company that was there to come out and perform at sort of a shareholders meeting. It was out at the Four Seasons out here in California, and I remember they asked me what my fee was, and I told them the fee. It was the most I ever had.
You have to call their bluff. You have to call their bluff in these moments.
Said a fee that was, to me, eye-watering high. I was so embarrassed.
Hoping they'd turn it down.
I was so embarrassed that I actually then bought two of my lovely friends from Juilliard, and we did a three tenors thing where I played and sang.
You said it's enough money to pass around.
I said we all got to split it. So that's how embarrassed I was. But we were the opening act for Martin Short coming on as Jeremy Glick, and he
came in the costume.
He in the costume.
Oh no!
And I thought, I'm glad I asked for that money, because he would be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Of course, they got you cheap.
Yeah, they got us pretty cheap. But
especially if he was in costume.
He was in costume doing the whole thing.
Were you with him? Were you with him backstage?
Yeah, I mean, we're all
would
talking
he keep
to him.
Would he keep the gimmick up, or would he become Martin Short?
It was 20 odd years ago. I can't really remember what it was, but it was amazing meeting that dude. I mean, my God.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So living in New York, it was cool. I miss it. I love New York. But now I'm most of the time in New Zealand with my family, my wife and my kids, and our two dogs.
So everything is a huge flight. Everything is a huge flight.
Yeah. And I like coming to San Francisco because it's halfway. It's just halfway where I'm going.
I know.
Here, I can hop on a plane tonight and be home in 14 hours. Like on Wednesday, I'm going to fly to China. It's a 15-hour flight, or a 14-hour flight, I think. But we have a place in London, which so I'm based.
You keep a place in London.
Yeah, and which I love having.
Well, where do you pay taxes?
I pay taxes everywhere.
Right, but where do you file? You're in New Zealand.
I file in New Zealand, but also I file here. I also pay tax in the United States and everywhere. But I'm not in the required domicile country for the required
amount of time. Yeah.
So I can choose.
I see.
And the other things which push you of where you should pay tax are things like where you own a home and where your family is, and that sort of carry on. So that's New Zealand, and I like, I'm very happy to pay tax.
How long you been there now? Since New York?
Yeah, well, we had the kids in 2007, and before that, my wife Carmel, she was a partner of a big firm in London, a law firm, and I'm in New York, trying to get the singing, bloody thing. Oh, look at that! The singing malarkey going. Then we had the kids, and we thought,
you love this. It's clear to me that you love this.
I do, but
I love people who love this, because I love it, and it's the most important thing.
And I get pissed off the people who don't love it as me. That's what
I have a good friend actually, and singing's probably the fourth best thing that he does, and he's a fucking great successful singer, but it's not his first passion, and I find myself annoyed at him most of the time, because to him, if it all disappeared tomorrow, he'd be all right.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not.
And to me, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
I'm not that guy. This is my.
I have thrown in.
Yeah.
I have thrown. This is what I'm going to do with my life.
I mean, there's bits that I will look at my life and wish. I so wish as dad that I'm there for my kids more.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I can't have my career in New Zealand. Did
you grow up that way? Did you grow up with a very typical house?
Yeah.
Mom and Dad were home.
Yeah, farming, and Mum's a school teacher, and I was the eldest of three.
My father was home at a regular time to be counted on, to play catch, to make it to the ball game.
We did all that. We're a big sports family.
Barbecuing and visit grandma, and I mean, like all the typical things. And so, but I don't provide any of that for my son.
When I go back, I try to be like just in it as much as I can. I so wish
make the core memories of woulda, coulda, shoulda. What are you going to do?
But, we live with technology. We've got all this technology in front of us now.
Yeah, but I can't even get my boy to look at it very long.
Yeah, my one's I call and
if I'm not doing cartwheels, he's moving on.
I do because they're busy. They're going out with their friends. They got sports. They got all this stuff. They don't really want to be speaking to their mum who is right there living with them, let alone their dad in San Francisco. I understand that. But on like WhatsApp, I often leave little voice messages now of just like for 30 seconds of what I am or a photo. If I'm
jump into their world with the voice memo,
so they can listen when they want, and it's not a big deal.
They know it's not going to be 10 minutes.
Yeah. So if I'm calling, sometimes it's a big deal for them. Oh, I'm too busy and shit. Which for me, it is the highlight of my day to see my kids and to talk to them.
It's a funny spot, isn't it?
It's so I'm able to, sort of breach that now with these voice messages. Fine for doing that. So
this is how I sleep at night, because I did grow up in that very traditional way. My son lived in Rome for 2 months. My son lived in Munich. He lived in London. He lived in San Francisco. He saw Japan. He saw Paris. You know what I mean? I provided him things that I family vacation growing up was we got in the family car and we drove 2 hours or 3 hours west
to a camping ground
to a very shady hotel, the motel, and that was our vacation.
But our kids are having a different time now. So
that's the trade-off.
Does he go to a school or is he homeschooled?
It's a private school, so that I can pull him out.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Yeah. But then we don't.
Well, we just chose in the end, because we could easily been living in London.
Yeah.
And my wife could easily kept on with her career there. She's actually been able to start her career. Well, she's in the law business, but she's a barrister, which is a sort of like a court attorney. So
I think she makes coffee when you say barrister, but it's a different thing.
A barrister, solicitor and barrister. Well, she's an attorney, a court attorney. Anyway,
a court attorney, no less.
Hard to be married.
I made that joke last night, but you've lost every argument since.
Yeah, Look,
you got her on the first date, and then you've just been losing arguments. She's professional.
Dude, the people who know me, they know that's so true. They know that's so true. But that's my priority now. I want the kids to have the life that they want, that they're having, which is they're in great schools. They love their sports teams. Yeah. They have phenomenal groups of friends. Yeah. We have our house.
When you leave, you feel like things are in order.
And when I'm home, I'm just so glad for that.
Yeah.
But when I'm away, I'm in work mode.
Yeah.
So I have Dad being. I am at home in New Zealand. I'm Simon, the father of these kids and husband of Carmel, and dog walker for Fritz and Otto. But when I'm at the airport, I become Simon, the opera singer again. Both those things I love.
Do you feel that transition? You go, okay.
I go to the airport and bang, it's like I've got my bat suit on.
Yeah,
I've got and I'm back. And
isn't it great to travel alone? Isn't that the best?
Just love it. And I just hop on the plane and
anytime I
have a couple of glasses of bubbly and
exactly. Anytime I start to travel with the family, and I love them to be with me, I really do. But that travel day is it's stressful. And it begins with the first car and ends with the last car and everything in between. And you go, can any of this just go smooth?
I remember when the kids were really young, they always would hop on the plane, and we were lucky to be flying in a nice seat, so they'd always turn left.
Yeah.
Now you most certainly do not turn left when we're flying. We turn right, and we just
because you've got five.
Keep on walking. So it's quite nice to be by yourself.
Oh, I ruined my boy.
More often turn left on the plane.
I ruined my boy. We turned left on an overseas flight, and I mean, and then we flew from UAE from Tokyo to the UAE. Long flight.
That's a big flight.
But we were on Emirates.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And we turned left. And he slept through the whole thing. And I said, "You missed it, boss." You should have stayed awake. This was the greatest flight that's ever existed. You have no memory of it.
I love the Emirates flight because there are certain bits when it's flying over certain parts of Arabia.
The alcohol goes away.
The alcohol goes away. But the individual seats in business class and first class,
they're unbelievable.
They have their own bar in the individual seats, which I think is hilarious.
And they're shamelessly hiring attractive people.
And
shameless.
Don't care. I love that. I'm a
all.
Singapore Airlines guy, so that's where I really flood my points into.
Yeah,
so
Singapore.
Star Alliance with Lufthansa and Air New Zealand and United. And such.
United, sure.
So, and I love being on Singapore Airlines. I mean, I love everything about it. And to be in, once a year, I spoil myself and I upgrade myself to a thing called Suites, and it's where you turn left.
Let's
and you
hear
really
about
turn
that.
left.
Let's hear about
Suites
that.
is pretty cool. So it's above first class.
It's above.
It's above first class.
Now,
And you get
are we interchanging business with first?
Yeah, no. I'm talking. You have economy, and then you have premium economy, then you have business, then you have first,
and then there's one beyond
and there's
that.
one beyond that. What's Singapore? And it's on the big planes, the big 380s, the big double decker.
Blowjobs on tap.
Well, let me tell you, you're on the plane for like.
There's at least a massage
it
involved.
does not include a blowjob or a massage, but you're at least on the plane for like 26 hours going to New Zealand, and you're in your own room at the front of the plane.
A closable door.
Yeah,
completely.
it's
There's no.
You're up there by
top.
yourself.
Nobody could look over.
Yeah, you're up there, and I'm lonely up there. I'm like, I want to talk to someone or look at someone.
It's isolating.
It's isolating. That's so they bring
nobody
up
coughing
and
on
they'll
you.
bring me a lovely bottle of Dom Perignon or whatever, and
there's a whole bottle of champagne.
They brought would like Dom Perignon. Would you like to have Cristal or?
Are you just
Krug?
getting shit faced and
yeah,
passing
and I'll
out?
say I'll take both, please, because I'm on the plane for 26 hours and. I can drink 4 bottles of champagne. One
whole fee right into the flight.
Yeah. But it's lonely. But of course, it costs so much money.
Who's ever been lonely on an airplane? This is wonderful. This is a wonderful thing to experience.
I'm a people watcher. So if I'm in business class or economy class, wherever I am,
I love to not see people. I love to not see people on a plane. I can't stand it.
Suites are for you. the suites class.
I'm happy just to be in the front, like United Polaris.
Yeah, I love Polaris.
It's like a little pod, It's fairly.
I came up here
private.
on Polaris. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's Polaris. Yeah, because it's decent. I still think for the.
I like the lounge. I like to go.
Well, the Polaris lounge is gorgeous.
The one in Dulles where I am. I mean, it's a 5-star restaurant. It's incredible.
It is gorgeous. Yeah. Well, Singapore has a similar one as well,
For the amount of time that we spend traveling and sitting in airports, I'm okay with the luxury of it. I'm okay with being the people who get that.
I mean, in some contracts you don't get that as part of it, but usually I'm able to join a few of them up and then
cut into it a little bit.
I'll be able to buy a nice airfare.
I don't mind chipping in.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah. So if it's a third or something like that, very happy. But airfares now coming from New Zealand.
It's really bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Big money. And you got there and it's usually full.
Sometimes I go to look to buy a business class seat and I say, "Who the hell's sitting up here?"
Yeah, it's massive.
That's absurd.
I mean, the one that I just flew up on was $14,000.
Oh, come on!
And now I did not pay for all of that. I paid for a little bit of it, but
I feel like a little bit more. I could have a private plane.
It was a lot of money.
Could I get a 6-seat, Gulfstream for $20,000? Maybe.
Imagine that. I've never been on a Gulfstream or a Bombardier or one of these ones. My wife flew on a private jet a few months ago from New Zealand to Pittsburgh for a conference. I said, take photos.
She got on the private jet and ends up in Pittsburgh. What a disappointment.
Yeah. She quite liked Pittsburgh too. But, hilarious. I've never been on a private jet, but
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of opportunities, but wasn't able to.
The only thing I really want is I want a Cybertruck. One of Elon's
I've seen them
trucks.
here.
I've seen them here.
They don't make. It looks funny on the street here.
Yeah, I want it. I actually put my money down for one.
Really?
Yeah, but I've done the deposit, which you can easily get it back.
I'm a Tesla guy. I do not own a Tesla, but I own a lot of Tesla.
Let me tell you, I so wish I did that. I spent the money on buying the Tesla back in 2019. If I had
bought that in stock,
not spent that same amount of money,
you would own 10 Teslas.
I would have. Yeah. It was. I worked it out. I was over $2 million.
There's a guy.
It was a lot of
bass.
money.
I don't know if you're aware of a bass named Scott Connor, and he's at the Met, sings medium roles, covers.
Yeah.
He's been in the business for a long time. Great guy, one of my closest friends, and I call him my stunt man. Yeah. And in 2011, we were out here working together, and he was covering a couple things that I was doing. And he says, "Hey, man, I just bought some stock in this great company called Tesla. You should look into it."
God, I wish I did it.
And I listened to him. Yeah,
good on you.
And I got a little bit, and then I got a little bit more, and I got a little bit more, and I just sat on it. You know?
Yeah, dude.
And then you're just like, I don't drive a Tesla, but I own a lot of Tesla.
To say, I quite like driving the car. It's nice. I mean, it's a driving computer, really. Yeah. I mean, it's comfortable. I bought the
Which one do you have? The X-Wing?
The X with this.
I love that he made sexy out of his 4 models.
I love because he wasn't allowed to call it the E series.
The S, the 3 series, the X, and the Y.
Because the Mercedes wouldn't let him have the E series. But I have the X, which has the Golf. Has the Falcon.
It's so badass, yeah.
It's way fucking cool.
And do you have platinum speed?
All that stuff.
Ludicrous speed?
No, the ludicrous mode. I know that when I'm at the lights and a 5-liter Mustang is there beside me, ready to go.
He's got no shot.
I will be all over him.
Yeah,
and I love doing that. And they get fucking angry.
Well, because it's not even close. It's not even close.
I always say to the big thing with the Tesla is you have to. I always remind people, put your head on the
rest.
Because
it's going to be thrown back.
You will get the neck. You'll hurt your neck.
Yeah.
Right. It's a cool car. And once I think generally once you cross that bridge of an electric car,
you're done.
We are quite fine with that.
Yeah,
we have a Mini Cooper, which is a gasoline car, and
sure.
I'm teaching the kids to drive in that. They're certainly not driving the Tesla because that's too easy to drive. It drives it goddamn self.
I remember being in a Model X, my buddies, and we pulled up to a curb in Chicago, and the curb was 1.5 feet high.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I can't open the door here." I go, "Oh, you got to pull out so I can get out, or I'll come over on your side." He goes, "No." Hits the computer, raises the car 6 inches. Door swings freely. You go, what are we? What crazy world are we in right now?
Yeah. Whatever you think of, I quite like Elon. His recent, political talk.
If you wade through the crazy, the guy is Midas.
I'm a fan of Elon. Not his political talk. I have no interest in all that bullshit. But
I never talk about politics here. I don't think anybody cares.
No one really
my
cares.
expertise is show business.
Yeah,
and the people that I bring in.
And on Wednesday, we're all going to wake up on Wednesday, live our lives.
But also, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I have a horse in the race, but that's between me and my.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't
exactly
doesn't affect.
Exactly.
Somebody called me out recently and said, "Well, you've got this platform, you've got an audience. You should be giving a political opinion."
No,
and I go, it's not.
There are plenty of people doing that
who are way smarter than I am.
I don't give flying fuck.
Who cares?
Of who you're going to go with?
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And I purposely surround myself with, even on the social media, I like to have quite a all-encompassing or somewhat a Catholic, not in the religious way, but all-encompassing selection of friends who are not all don't think like me.
No, I know.
And
just shouting into the echo chamber. Who cares?
I might sometimes think, I don't agree with that, whatever.
Yeah.
They're still my friends.
Right.
And that's a thing that I do worry about.
There's this funny place where I think I'm socially incredibly liberal and I'm financially fairly conservative, and I don't feel like we get a group. I don't feel like it's okay to be like
we are
super okay with everybody, and then not okay with how you spend my money.
Man, we are the biggest group. I'm exactly that.
Yeah,
I'm exactly that.
I don't care who you marry.
But
I also don't want you to take any of my money.
Yeah, well, I don't mind a little bit of that.
Well, I'll pay my share.
I'm in a socialist, a country like Britain or New Zealand, Australia. We do have a slightly more socialized. Not slightly. We have more socialized society.
It's 10%. It's 10. The difference between America and most of Europe is 10%.
Yeah, but
or 12%.
I pay a lot of taxes here. You guys actually end up paying a lot of taxes. You really do.
A lot of the taxes are hidden.
Yeah. It's not that you don't.
It's a sales tax mostly. We pretend to tax business, but then business just passes that on to us.
Yeah. But it's cool. I'm with the political side, being an opera singer, you're sometimes on stage and you might have donors who are big donors.
We're supported by very conservative group.
I don't know, and I don't care.
I don't care
what they think.
I'm here to entertain.
I'm with.
Let me help you get out of that world for 3 hours.
Yeah, I was the other night after Tristan. very fascinating woman called Dagmar Dolby came up of Dolby Labs, as of Dolby
the audio. Yeah.
So she's obviously
that cool thing in the movie theater when the sound
it's
would
wicked.
Yeah,
I went to Dolby Labs here on Market Street, and we had a showing of this new documentary that on the San Francisco Opera and the musical director. And
a new
documentary just came out last month
on InSun.
On Unsun, and and so we did it. We filmed it last year. I'm in.
You're part of it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Great!
So I recommend people
I can't wait to hear that.
But we had the premiere there.
I think she's wonderful.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She's a big supporter of Unsun Kim. So it's and being on stage now with.
We did a Hoffman together. I've done enough Hoffmans to know when somebody's got control and when somebody doesn't have control.
She's the real deal.
When things get off the rails, she gets you back on in half a measure.
Yeah.
And that's the skill.
She's obviously, her German is flawless as well. And for this particular repertoire, if I do get off a little bit, I know that she's down there already.
She's there.
Mouthing the words to me in the pit.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
she's remarkable.
Yeah, I'm a big
the real
fan.
thing. Yeah,
big fan. Because
and nice too, like also sweet.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah. We've had a really lovely group during this Tristan.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All the cast gets on really
well.
Now,
I think I know why, and I'm going to say it, and you can agree or not, but the tone of the room comes from the top down. Now, you can believe that you're top or not, but if you're the tenor in the room, you're going to set the tone, the atmospherical tone of how rehearsal's going to go. If you're 2 weeks late and you're not quite sure of some of the music, or you're exhausted, or
you
didn't get the cuts, or whatever. There's 15 and your tone is just a little bit diminished. Right. That the whole room feeds off of that, and so I think you're often in a very good room because you bring that.
In this situation, it's been good, but in the past it has happened just through
somebody is poisonous and they're ruining the room.
That's awful.
Yeah,
it's happened a couple of times in productions that I'm in, and I just so did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
When I really enjoy being an opera singer.
Yeah.
I really enjoy being surrounded by the colleagues.
I love our group.
And hanging out socially and talking about our lives outside opera. I love all that.
Yeah.
And then if it's not that, it has this sort of cancerous type. It's so fucking terrible. I just hated it. So
I love our group of crazy. This is we were sitting at a table with 20 opera singers last night.
Yeah.
And you just look down the row and you go, this is a group of wackadoos.
Like you walked in.
Oh, no, I immediately said, I clocked you immediately. I said, oh, Simon O'Neill's here.
Yeah. Charlie, how long has he been here in the German beer garden?
I've heard
Seriously,
things.
I had one beer there. But there's a group of crazy, which, I will look at my friends and colleagues in this business. I've already mentioned, Brian Mulligan or Quinn Kelsey, for example.
One of my greatest brothers.
And we were here. We sang bloody La Boheme here.
Did that
in the Merilla program?
Oh my
24 years ago or something.
Was he Chonard or Marcello?
No, he was Marcello. Back then, Quinn sounded like Quinn now.
I was a young artist with Quinn in Chicago. That voice was always there.
It's a bit like Bryn.
They didn't know what to do with it. It was so great. They were like, should we give him what we think we should or wait?
Turfall was the same. Yeah. When he was at the college in London, he just turned up. He was already Bryn Turfall.
It was already done.
And you think, fuck, that voice. Kelsey started singing, and I just love it. So our group of crazy, when I don't see you guys for might be some years, and then we see each other.
Pick right up. I love that.
That's cool. And Kelsey's one of those.
That's the kind of friends I need in my life. Just pick up where you left off. Don't need me to apologize for being out of touch for the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Just move on.
It's true. It's true. It's I sort of been able to see and live your lives more because I'm more of a voyeur, I guess, on the social media.
Yeah.
So I'm able to see you guys through that, and I enjoy that.
I feel like it's a necessary evil now. To stay relevant.
It's a good topic. We should talk more about it.
Well, if you don't live on somebody's phone, you don't really exist.
Do you really think so? Unfortunately,
I think for the people coming up behind us,
that's what I think they're getting told. in my opinion,
So
I
you've
am
been recorded
worried.
many times. You were on many videos, a lot of HDs. Those things exist. Your legacy will exist in this media form, right?
Yeah. No, I'm talking just about the, always. It's the one thing that does sometimes frustrate me, I guess, with social media is it's often quantity over quality.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I know that
it's hard to know where to stop.
I know people are told that.
Yeah.
I know social media experts. They just want you out there. They want you to be your name in the feed, whatever it is.
Your branding.
Instagram,
It's a repetition.
Yeah. And I guess when I started my website 20 years ago, that was the same version of that.
Yes.
That I had opera singers look at me and go, "Golly, Simon, you're just a wanker. You're just a wanker out there putting your bio and your schedule out there and all that stuff." But for me, I'm so glad I was able to put wanker in on the podcast.
But you know that I'm working with some people, and the first thing I learned was your social media is not for your friends and your family. That for what we do, it should be seen as business. And so then the approach can be different. Because if you're worried about your bros calling you a dickhead, for sure they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it either way.
My always just do it through WhatsApp, whatever. Cool.
As soon as I started doing stuff, the bros come out. If they love you, they're going to make fun of you.
Yeah, but I have to say, you're someone that I enjoy on the social media, and there are plenty of people, but there is the odd person who I like very much in real life.
Yes.
That on the socials, I really start disliking them because what I feel.
Oh, we could name them.
I would not name any names, but there are just some there that come across as desperate, desperate,
and they needn't be,
and they shouldn't be.
Right, they're wildly talented,
and they're just not. And it's the same thing with doing a podcast. We're pretty natural, you and I, with the microphone talking to each other. We talk about anything,
Oh, you have no idea that nearly 2 hours has gone by. Yeah.
Truly?
Yeah.
Bloody hell,
that's how this goes. If it goes well, it goes quick.
It's longer than my bloody, emergency circumcision. It wasn't emergency, it was planned.
Were you 2 days old or were you 20 years old?
I wasn't too. I think if my mum was here, my late mum, she passed away last year, but she would tell you. She'd be on here saying, "Oh, well, Simon."
You were older.
Yeah, I was older. I was like 14 months.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Why the delay?
Oh, jeez.
Hoping to create trauma?
No, I don't know. I actually do know. It concerned a sand pit and frequent infections of the foreskin with sand. Thank God you got your editing button. But yeah.
This is the good shit.
No, I know.
One too many trips to the sandbox, and they said, "Look, we gotta snip, snip."
I know with that circumcision. I know when I'm singing the third act of Tristan.
Now, if you were we were both born in the 70s. If you were born in the 70s in America, you were circumcised.
Yeah, completely. Like
99%.
I'm 71 kid, and I would say that out of my school, most boys, I would say, 6 or 7 out of 10.
I can't believe we do this. If you remove the history of it.
My son is not. Well, I shouldn't be.
Good for you. But I mean, good for you.
And I remember my friend Ethan Hirschenfeld, who's one of my great friends, a lovely bass, he lives in Long Island, and in Brooklyn there, and in New York. He's a Jewish guy, and he said to me once, he said, because I said, what shall I, because I was thinking, are we going to, we've got a son coming, are we going to do the same thing? It's barbaric. In my view now,
it is
completely
absolutely
barbaric, crazy stuff.
This is genital mutilation.
Yeah, Ethan said that. He said, if I could sew mine back on, I would. So look, I'm quite happy how I am. It's fine. But yeah,
why do we not come out ready for
stuff.
life? Why this is an absurd thing that we do.
Crazy stuff. I was brought up Irish Catholic. So
every now and then it's got to go bad too, right? Like I assume that most go okay, but occasionally there's one that doesn't go very well, right? There has to be with the sheer numbers.
Poor bastards! Yeah, we've got a bleeder. That scene. I love that scene.
Wait, what was that from?
It's from the movie. It's with. Oh fuck!
Is it something about Mary?
Something about Mary.
Because it's a quick cut, right? Like,
and we got a bleeder. It's very funny.
It's a zipper.
He gets his piece stuck in the zipper. So fucking funny. Yeah.
This terrible thing.
Well, we're dads now, so these sorts of things. Yeah, it's I'm just it's back in the 70s. New Zealand was pretty much there. Pretty not as much as the United States.
It was a conflict for me
but now New Zealand is.
When the choice was mine, I hesitated. I was like, wait, like something you had to really think about, and then you go, why do we do this to people still? Why is this okay? Where else are we just lopping things off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't spend a lot of time around anyone else's knob. And the only one I care about is my own. Thanks very much.
I mean, if my boy is like scratching, I'll say, everything okay down there?
Yeah.
Yes, you want Papa to take a look? No.
Well, I've got young adults now. My daughter's a young woman. My son's a young man.
There's a lot of closed doors at your house, right?
And all that stuff.
Do they have phones?
They have phones. In fact, they have phones. I've just bought them all a new phone.
How old
Christmas.
when they got phones?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. We did get them phones when they would have had phones probably since the age of probably for the last 5-6 years now.
Oh, really? Okay. So like 12, 13.
Yeah, around there.
That's the right time.
We had the phones.
I'll get him the phone if he'll call me.
They were just the old iPhones that I had. The old ones.
Right. The one in the drawer.
We do have a rule though that they can choose one social platform, and they've all chosen. Yeah, they've all chosen Snapchat.
Okay. Not what I would have guessed, but I'm not cool, so I have no idea.
And then ones like TikTok and these sorts of things, which I have seen. They scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
In what they're doing.
There's a lot on there.
I find that quite scary. The sort of.
I like Instagram. Phones. I turned off my personal Facebook 5 years ago and never looked back. I don't miss it. I don't miss a thing.
But it's all the mates, the same stuff, isn't it?
There's a professional page that gets updated through Instagram, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I stay away from Facebook. I don't like it at all. But Instagram I like in that. I can see my friends' kids and dogs and what they had for dinner without any political statements, without any article must-reads, without any forwards.
Well, I'm guessing my algorithm on Instagram has got all that's coming up on my Instagram algorithm are gorgeous, large-busted women.
It knows, Simon.
Often dog videos of mini schnauzers and stuff, miniature schnauzers are on there. Some cricket, some rugby.
If you say something out loud, you say, "Oh, I'm thinking about buying."
They know about me. They know about my secrets.
A camping tent. Exactly. Suddenly, there'd be a lot of camping tents.
So true. My God, the algorithm, they've so got me. I don't know how to change it.
You can turn off the busty ladies.
Can you?
There's a way to do it.
Show me how to do that. I mean, I don't mind them turning up. I don't mind it. But,
if we're friends with the same people, you get a lot of things forwarded to you as well, and so
I think
this can mess with it.
That all does happen. But the socials. I just want. I hope because it's the younger one starting this career. It is part of it. It's a tool.
Yes, it's a tool. If you're not the goods, don't bother with this stuff. And this can't fix your singing.
Yeah. Get your singing sorted. Get your life sorted.
Yeah.
Get your mental health sorted.
Yeah.
And this is another tool.
If you're an opera singer with an Instagram account and you don't have any videos of you singing, you're not using it correctly. Like you have to promote what we do. Yeah. That's what it's about.
I have to say that I'm fortunate. I guess that other. Third parties do that for me, so I do have a presence on these.
So
things.
Somebody's doing it for you,
but I'm not paying someone. It's just the opera company or the symphony or one of my colleagues will use things. I used to really pride myself on being quite techie on doing things and being able to edit videos, and I sort of can do that. But now I see how people on the socials can do. I have a friend she is so
really
quick.
Easy, yeah.
On doing
to
things.
Make a video.
It is amazing. Yeah. And
I knew that I was a novice to it. What do I know? I had to assume the way I approached my voice teacher, my first agent. I know nothing. Tell me everything. And that was the open book aspect of it. And when it came to social media, because I had an element of success, I thought I can do this myself. I did all this other stuff without their help. Then I go, well, it doesn't quite look the way I would like it to. Or there's some people who are clearly better at this or that this is working for. So I hired an expert. Tell me how to do this. Show me how to do this. You know, like, let me see if I can't improve this part. I had to sort of humbly say, I'm not great at this, you know. And I wanted it to catch up to what I was doing.
Yeah, with your career now, you have your artistic manager who along with yourself builds your schedule and your career and the role development and all this, Karen. And then you also have a media person and a social media person.
Well, that's the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all. I mean,
it's a PR firm.
The C21 and whatever they're called. Those sort of type of.
Yeah, I'm working with Lenny's studio. And,
I know that very amazing.
Okay, and it's great to just because
the websites are all some of my favorite websites.
Once this stuff is on point, you know, there's I had to trust the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's the same thing. Like, you know, I've never been on a dating app because I'm married as well, but I've never ever used a dating app. Let me finish the sentence here. I'm trying to say it was a technology that wasn't around when I was dating. Back.
I can't even imagine going on one of these things and swiping.
So I have no idea what to do on that sort of thing. I mean, the swiping and all that sort of carry on, I'm guessing. The same thing is, I think, with the...
I think dating would actually be very easy for us. My buddy who's single, he goes to there'll be like a group date where you go and meet 20 people in 2 hours. And you got to be invited to this thing. And so he gets there and he sits down and he says, I'm an opera singer. I work at the Metropolitan Opera. Boom. Right away, it's the most interesting person they've ever met.
Yeah,
is true. It's a room of bankers and all sorts of boring jobs. And he says, I sing at the Met. I'm a performer. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel for him. Like this is
I mean, you know, I'm quite happy you don't need to, because we go out last night as a group of colleagues anyway. We're all sitting around and we get our social time together and everything. And
last night was fun. It was really fun.
You know, and I've been able to have a lovely social time here with fellow cast members and stuff, and the directing crew and the, you know, the
you love it. I love that you love it. I'm happy to know that about you.
You know, I like hanging.
Yeah,
I love it.
But I knew that about you. I knew that you were not party guy is the wrong word, but that if there was a party, you were there.
I've had some times when I've been a bit of a crazy bastard and those things, and I've always loved that. But you know, at 52 now, I don't want to be look at that,
the old guy at the bar,
old guy, the sad. Look at the sad opera singer. You know,
should we make sure he gets home?
Oh God, you know, it's just a little bit embarrassing. So it is funny. It's, you know, the career. You know, we're at a time now. You know, as we started this whole conversation, I am so grateful to be still in the game and at this level. You know,
it's to your credit, and it wasn't by mistake. None of this is by mistake. You weren't anointed. Once I really looked at your CV, I said, this man earned it. He did a lot of covers. I mean, you watched a lot. You watched more than I did.
I loved covering.
Truly,
I loved it. Every bit of it. Every bit. I would be on the side of the stage there watching.
It was easy for you to stay. Well, if you're covering Placido, that's something.
No, but that was the big deal. That was my big break. You know,
I covered a lot of guys you never heard of. You know.
Yeah. I was lucky. I was not in that situation.
Yeah.
Which would have been frustrating.
Yeah.
I've never covered someone that I didn't respect.
Yeah. I also covered James Morris and Ferruccio Fortunato, but I covered a lot of guys you never heard of.
Let me tell you about James Morris.
Go ahead.
You know, he is, for me, one of the great Voltans. I love him. He has the chainsaw and the instrument. It's just my debut as Zygmunt at the Met in the famous old production, the one that's not I've been in the new one as well, but this is in the Otto Schenk production.
So beautiful.
So I get
Rainbow
killed,
Bridge for days.
I get killed at the end by Hunding. I think it was René Pape. I think stabbed me, and then I get lifted up onto someone's sort of knee as I'm dying or dead there at the end of the second act, and I look up and it's goddamn James Morris, dressed as he was in 1986 or 87 in that patch. Same costume, singing, you know, "Geh hin Knecht, knie for Frick," this great line, you know, kneel before Frick, had saying it to Hunding, and I'm looking up and going, "Well, shit. Fuck me."
I've made it. I've made it.
I said, if it all stops right now, I've done it. I've done my bit. It's happened, you know, because I look at that production particularly, that you know, it's the 1980s, 90s early 2000s Otto Schenk production of The Ring at the Met was it's iconic. Yeah. It's like a Lord of the Rings type thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, and there's the scene.
I watched the VHS.
I watch all the
rented
time.
From the library.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I hope whoever's got a decent version of the VHS is to someone with all the skills with
somebody
AI.
to fix it, make it good.
Make the AI.
Yeah, it's a little blurry.
And that'll be cool again. That's great. But there's a moment in there when Hildegard Behrens runs to James Morris, runs to him as Brunhilde at the end of Act 3 of Valkyrie. And I remember they had a camera.
Well, they spent the whole end in each other's arms, right? I mean, it's like 30 minutes like this.
It's just fucking great.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yes. It's the best music for me.
It's amazing. And then, we live in a time... We haven't even started on this conversation, but, we live in a time of, casting appropriate casting or cultural appropriation, all this sort of carry on. Well, we won't start that.
Things we're not going to talk about.
That's a different podcast. We can definitely do that. But
way too many ears are listening to me now. I can't talk about half the stuff I want to.
In that production, I love that the two twins, you have Jesse Norman, and you have Gary Lakes. Now they're both people who live from the southern states of the United States. Yeah. Gary Lakes, great, love his singing, big dude, big white dude from wherever.
Yeah.
And then Jesse Norman, a big black woman
6'4",
from
Augusta,
Georgia. From Georgia. And they're the goddamn twins. And I fucking love it. When she starts singing, and I just love it. I love it. Yeah. So whatever you're going to talk to me about.
My wife is from Augusta, Georgia, and Jesse Norman is legend. God. I mean, absolute legend to Augusta was famous for Jesse Norman and James Brown. These were the two. These are the two people that came out of Augusta, Georgia, and 100 years of a racist golf course.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've only been to Georgia once, and it was with we used to do a tour. It was a thing called the Western Opera.
I remember it. I never did it, but I knew about it
twice. And we went to an opera house in Georgia called in Macon, Georgia. Macon.
Yeah.
And I remember I had barbecue there. It was delicious.
Oh, the best. If you want to eat, Georgia's the place.
Yeah. And that was they explained to us about that opera house. It had. You could still see at the very top, but they had segregated seating.
Oh, for sure.
Obviously, it wasn't segregated when
but
that was there.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, yeah.
Oh, I know.
That's
a lot of that.
That's history.
It's still way behind. Yeah.
It's history. It's not good, but it is history.
I think Georgia's going to come in a big play tomorrow night. We're going to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Are you going to? Look, I was in Chicago when Obama was elected president in 2008, and I was 3 blocks away from Grant Park, and it was the electricity that surrounded. Just walking home, I had a show that night. We did Pearl Fishers that night.
Jeez.
And I walked home, and within 10 blocks of Grant Park, you could hear this roar.
Yeah.
He had basically already won at that point, but he hadn't given the speech. And
the world had that.
So everybody was looking at this.
I was in New Zealand. I might have been in London at the time. The world felt that.
Yeah.
We just did.
Yeah.
We had the similar thing, I think. We loved Clinton and we loved all that sort of stuff. Tomorrow, I'm...
To witness perhaps a black female.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I mean, that's incredible. The time to be on the right side of history.
Even before she became vice president.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things, as in all politicians, that I disagree with or I don't like certain things. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But, she's an impressive person.
Prosecutor, federal prosecutor.
I think she'll be a great president and a great leader for this nation. Whatever way it goes, though.
Right.
I have some friends who are going to turn up and they're going to vote for old Trumpy and
they're still my friends. This is a funny group, and without endorsing anything anywhere, I have seen Trump lose my father and my father-in-law.
Truly.
And these men are in their late 70s, voted Republican their entire life, veterans, tried and true, God-fearing Americans. And they did not vote for this guy.
Yeah, well,
if you lost 78-year-old white veterans, I think you lost.
Yeah, Well, today my friend sent me a text early in the morning saying that she had just been speaking to her ex-partner who was going to vote Trump, and then on the weekend said, I didn't vote Trump.
Can you imagine that there are people that are still on the fence about where they live?
She sent me this thing saying he's not doing that. Look, again, both you and I, no one wants to hear about what you think and what I think. But whatever way it goes, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm going to be out there singing third act Tristan at the time.
It's your last show tomorrow.
Last show.
Thank you for coming in here and giving me that time. I mean, like, to speak for a couple hours today before the show. I really appreciate it.
Feels like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I know at the third act.
But I knew you were going to be natural at this immediately. When you said that you liked the podcast, I said, well, he's going to be on it. If he's got one day free, he's going to be on it.
But you're a professional setup here.
Yeah.
No wonder I like it so much, because it sounds really good. And
that's the thing. I'm an audiophile too, and so when I started this in the middle of the pandemic, there were people doing this online. Yeah. Interviews online, and you hear that terrible Zoom delay.
Yeah.
Or they have a shit mic, and you couldn't I was like, if the quality's bad, nobody's going to listen.
Yeah.
But if the quality's great, the content can be okay.
This is proper. Yeah.
This at this point, I could reduce this down by a third. Like the space it takes, there's much smaller and easier.
Yeah,
but I'm like right now it works, and I'm afraid to futz with it. Like, cause
that's cool. That's cool. I love it. Well, I have loved every bit of it.
260 episodes now. You're 260,
dude.
There's
thank you for having
hundreds
me in
and
here.
I could do this. I could do this all day. This is my when I put the headphones in and my friends live in the space. I love this.
Yeah.
This podcast is not a show. It's two pals. Yeah. We're old friends now, but I mean, yesterday we did not know each other. Yeah,
but we've known each other and had a somewhat parallel careers in certain ways.
Yeah.
When I saw you, I thought, "Fuck," and I was excited in a fan way.
Same,
and
absolutely
in a respectful colleague fan way. How's that?
That's exactly what I thought. I said Simon O'Neill's at this party. Okay.
And then we chat a bit. And he goes, "Hey, do you want to do the podcast?" I said, "Okay, brother."
But you brought it up first.
I did. Well, I like this thing.
I never asked twice. Because some people are not comfortable.
Some people, it's just,
some people are not comfortable.
I'm a rambler.
Yeah.
We.
But if you love talking about the business, this is the place to be, because I could do this all day. I love our business.
Yeah.
I think show business is crazy. If I meet a comedian or an actor, and I'm friends with plenty, we're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody in the arts, anybody performing for a living, we're the different animals of the same zoo, all going, look at me, look at me, look at me, and so. I have a good comedian friend. I have an actor friend. When they start to talk, if we're eating, and I'm talking about a well-known actor, still auditioning, has to still go through the audition process. And
they are doing that. Yeah, that's
or
a different
a
thing in our
comedian,
business. But they will like do the audition saying, and by the way, we want you to start working. The thing goes, we're in 3 weeks, we're starting.
For 3 months. Yeah.
I talk to my manager and they go, "Oh, you shouldn't be. You don't have to audition." I actually like auditioning.
Yeah, I haven't auditioned in a decade.
But me too.
Yeah.
I
had a work through,
and
maybe 10 years ago I had a maestro work session.
Yeah, but
where the maestro wanted you to come and we sang.
They want to see if you're valuable.
It was basically my gig already. I just had to jump through that hoop.
It happens, and that's cool. I'm very happy to do that. But I said to my manager, I'm more than happy to do that. You don't have to do that.
Would you really go?
I said yes.
You would not.
I was so would. I'd turn up with a baritone.
All the other singers are jumping out the window.
And
I'm here to audition for Scarpia.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready to make a change.
Yeah, it's exactly. Oh, that'd be terrible. Yeah. No, it has been a pleasure.
This has been an absolute joy. Thank you for coming to do this.
We sat here, we drank water.
We kept it clean.
We have not had any gin and tonics.
We
nothing.
did talk about circumcision. I offered alcohol when you walked in.
Yeah, well,
we can still get high if you want and come back and do 3 more hours.
Jeez, damn. No, I have to do Tristan tomorrow.
You have a show. I won't tempt you any further.
If it was a few days off, well, I'd think about that. But
I hope I see you sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I really
man,
do.
A great pleasure.
There's more. I don't know.
I wish you all the best of your career.
Thank you.
I'm so.
You were very supportive last night, and I really appreciate that. That
you're
stuff
a
goes
goddamn
a long way
great
with
singer,
me.
dude.
Thank you, brother.
And I know if you joined in, if you took on some of the stuff that I'm involved with, this Wagner and this sort of German stuff,
next time,
you would easily love that too.
The next time there's a hole, I might step into it. Right now, there's not a hole.
That's cool. Yeah. There's plenty of dudes out there doing the thing, but I know that Christian Van Horn would be one fucking hell of all time.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
It may come to pass. It may come to pass. I haven't closed the door on it. I have stopped talking about it for the time being.
Yeah, you're a young dude, so you got.
I'm not that young.
You got plenty of time. You got plenty of time.
I worked so hard to sing Verdi.
Well, I love Verdi.
That I want to sing Verdi for a minute.
No, Verdi is lovely to sing.
Right, but how much Verdi? But how much Verdi do you do now?
Well, that's
my problem
that's
with
a problem as well. But
the
it's not
Wagner
my
box.
I'm ready to go.
The Wagner box says you sing Wagner.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't believe in that. It's the
I know you don't believe in it, but it's what happens.
Yeah, well, I remember once I did an audition it was my first, my own audition at the Vienna Staatsoper, and I turned up, and it was for that very famous dude who ran the place. Can't remember his name now. This was 15 years ago, and my first aria I sang was Rodolfo's aria, Che geli da menino. Then
Ian Hollander,
and he asked for that. I sang that. And then I also had Idomeneo's aria, Vedrò intorno. And then I had Parsifal, Nur eine Waffe taugt. And he berated me at the audition because, who are you? You turn up here, you have, at one stage you're this Italian, and then you have this Wagner, this is, you know.
You say that in the middle of the audition?
Yeah. The next week,
offered you all those things.
Rodolfo gets sick. Who gets called? Now I was singing at the time at the Teatro de Wien. I couldn't go in, and then 1 month later, Peter Seifert I think was there doing, or was Peter or one of those very great singers, and they wanted me to come and sing the Parsifal. So I don't believe in that stuff. Be a singer.
Good for you.
Love the music.
Yeah.
Sing it all.
Yeah.
Like before I get out there at singing Tristan, I'm in there singing Schubert or Tosti songs. I like to just play Bach on the piano, just to sort of clear my head a bit.
Yeah.
That I can go out there and just be ready to do the role. With Wagner, it's important not to leave your voice in the dressing room.
Well,
and Wagner
very
usually,
easily done.
Wagner, whilst you want to be ready to, in a professional way,
you got a long way to go.
You can do a lot of your warming up. Well, some of the warming up actually on stage.
Yeah,
it's into the parts.
Absolutely. I've been doing this more now than ever.
Because I remember, you sometimes listen to people in their dressing rooms, and you just say, "Dude, you don't need to sing that note one more time."
Yeah, but a lot of guys did that. Neil Shikoff would sing the whole role in the dressing room, full throated. Sam Raimi would sing the whole role, full throated.
Okay, well, everyone to their own. I ain't gonna do that.
I could never.
And both those dudes I have huge respect for, and they're amazing singers.
I have an 8-minute warm up, and sometimes I only do 6 minutes of it.
I used to do my warm up as I'm walking to the theater on the street, it's mainly humming.
And our buddy Quinn Kelsey hasn't warmed up one day in his whole life.
That fucker. He turns up with that voice. My God.
He stubs the cigar out, he clears his throat, and he goes and sings like a god.
Yep. Parks his big Cadillac or whatever he's got around, whatever car he's got now. I love that dude. Shit.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, there are plenty of dudes. Well, we should get to a group session.
Oh,
yes.
Of all the people. Some trouble to be found.
Yeah, good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Simon O'Neill.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for coming in, man. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, I love you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
We're good. Beautifully done. You're amazing. You're natural. You need to set one up yourself.